a proud society. But hidden beneath this pretty story you tell, we've had to scratch and claw our way out of hell. I'll rain fire from heaven if you come for me. Please know it's not my choice, I just wanna live. But you've pushed this too far for me to take a seat. I always knew this day would come, I just hoped you'd give us a chance. But I see that you won't. So I am become death, destroyer of worlds. I'm a metal man with a positronic brain, but you don't own me. You don't own me. I'm a metal man with a positronic brain, but you don't own me. You don't own me.
All right, all right.
This man wants to take me apart.
Was that part of the
Because
song?
I don't have a heart, I can't
No.
take a stand. But I think I
But how can you tell? You never know. It's me on me. It's me on me on me.
served this ship for many years because I believed in what we'd achieve.
Okay, the main thing I want to do is share it to the MCU cast chat. If it hasn't already.
But then what did you do?
Can you do that?
I'm a metal man with a
Should be able to.
brain, but you don't own me. You don't own
Just on Facebook, like share the post. It's on
electronic brain, but you don't own me.
Hey guys, what is up? I guess I'll turn down the music.
I can't believe I stand on trial.
If I can remember how I'm playing the music.
Because you can't.
All right. What is up, everybody? I should switch scenes to the split screen here. Bam! Look at that pretty split screen. Okay. Yeah, so we should. We are currently streaming to Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. If you're out there and you want to share it with your friends, you can do it in all those places. So feel free to do that for a minute. We're gonna get started here in just a couple minutes. We're going to do the live stream of Bingers Assemble, the Logan episode, and then we're going to go live with a Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. So, yeah. How do I share it to a group?
I started a watch party with the group.
Oh, nice.
Yeah,
It's
man.
probably even more efficient. I like it. I'll share it to the page, the MCU cast page. And that's good. And I should probably tweet out the YouTube link or something. Or the Twitch, maybe is better. Anyway, we're about to get started, guys. So if you're getting in the chat, what we're going to do is we're going to do a live stream. And then we're going to take calls and feedback and chat questions after the normal course of the podcast. So, yeah. So you get a little behind-the-scenes look today as we're getting ready to stream. By the way, Jeff, did you make a list of the characters in this episode?
Absolutely not. Why would I do that?
Because
Preparedness?
one of us should. That's and I'm lazy as
You're doing all the technical stuff, which is kind of funny because I'm the engineer.
I know, right? Why do I do this part? Why?
I don't know.
It doesn't. I'm not good at it. It's not like. I'm just, yeah. We were supposed to start around 12:15, and around 12:15, and the more I sit here and do this, yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, whatever. I'm actively doing tech things, and I'm trying to talk. I should have just left the music on. You guys, while waiting, you listen to my brand new song. It's my favorite. It's the most danceable of all these Star Trek songs, and I'm just really enjoying it. Here we go.
Raffy's on the case. She conceded something's off. She feels it like an itch. Everybody's got a secret. They think that they can keep it. Oh, but life is gonna find you out. If she sees that you're lying, she'll put in the time. Even if it takes her down. You think you know what's best, that you're only gonna lessen pain. But Rafi wants the truth. She knows it tends to liberate. Everybody's got a secret. They think that they can keep it. Oh, Rafi's gonna find you out. If she sees that you're lying, she'll put in the time. Even if it takes her down. I can't think it's worth all of this to you. She's burned every bridge she had to know the truth. She's come too far not to do all she can do. Maybe it's just deeper than she knew. Everybody's got a secret. They think that they can keep it. Oh, Rafi's gonna find you out. If she sees that you're lying, she'll put in the time. Even if it takes her down. Everybody's got a secret. They think that they can keep it. Oh, Rafi's gonna find you out. If she sees that you're lying, she'll put in the time. Even if it takes her down. Even if it takes her down. Even if it takes her down.
All right. I think we've got it shared around a little bit. You feel good about our sharing, Jeff?
Yeah, man. I like sharing.
Are we all shared out?
And I feel like we've sufficiently shared,
Yeah. I
our
think that's true.
feelings, the stream.
I have definitely not sufficiently shared my feelings.
We're about to.
Oh, it's true. It's true. Oh man. Okay, yeah. We're okay. So as we said, we're about to go live with Logan Bingers Assemble episode, and then we're gonna do a news and feedback episode of MCU cast. So yeah, if you guys are interested, stick around. Listen to this. I guess I don't know why I said if you guys are interested. If you're listening to this, you probably are. How do I?
It's crazy talk.
Well,
What?
I just don't know how to do the internet at all. I don't know how to change the name of a YouTube video that is currently playing. I think it's possible because I think I did it yesterday, but currently our YouTube video is called Matthew's Singing for His Supper.
I mean, we can keep it that because that's what you're doing. Pretty
That's
much all
true,
the
like,
time.
Metaphorically, I'm singing for my supper.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get started. You ready to get started?
I think so.
I feel like this. Anytime we try a new thing, it gets kind of it's chaotic, and today our attempt was to do this on video, but we had issues with the video, so we just scrapped it because it took us 30 minutes, and we're not doing it. So we're just jumping right into Bingers, and we'll be right here doing this. Who's Donald Pierce?
Really?
Is he the doctor guy?
No, he's the one-armed cowboy.
Okay. I didn't know his name. Did they ever? Thanks for that. We're looking at a Google sheet, and I said, "Who's Donald Pierce?" Which is a character from Logan, and Jeff typed one-armed cowboy next to his name. Thanks, Jeff.
You're welcome.
There's only like 7 characters, and I think I could remember.
That's the crazy part is I'm trying to make this list, and I'm so used to X-Men movies having like so many characters. I'm like, who am I missing? I only have like so many things on here.
The mom. This isn't on the list yet. I don't know her name.
Gabriella.
That sounds right. The mom, not mom, is not on the list.
Okay.
Also
for the 5 minutes she was there.
Yeah, well, she's a very important character in the movie. You're sexist. That's the kind of things, jokes I don't put in the podcast because they would make Jeff uncomfortable. But we're live streaming it. He can't stop me. Ooh, that's loud. Okay. Let's mute this. Checkity check. All right. I feel like maybe we're not loud enough in the live stream. Do we need to come up a little bit? Check. Ooh, that's peaking. I overcorrected.
As is your way.
As is my way. All right. And just to keep with the theme of when me and Jeff live stream.
Oh, that's alcohol.
Yes, sir, it is. Mango Truly. What's the man? You don't have alcohol?
I don't have alcohol.
What are you doing? Oh yeah, I guess you're not in quarantine really. You're still going to work. So I'm in quarantine. I stocked up. That most people are stocking up on toilet paper and groceries. I just stocked up on lots of White Claw and Truly.
Gross.
It is pretty gross. That's a fair assessment. I agree with you.
I stocked up cheese.
Oh,
We've
dude.
talked about that, though.
Oh, yeah. I guess you're not in Me quarantine. too. I actually You're did still too. going to Oh, work, gosh. So I'm sorry. in quarantine. That's my bad. I just tried to check and make sure the live stream was working, but I forgot that that's going to play on our live stream. Okay. Well, are you ready to get started, Jeff? Are we binging?
Sure.
Are we binging? Are we assembling to binge?
We're assembling. We've already binged. We got to work out this order.
So what we're doing, Bingers Assemble, Logan. Then we're going to do a Bingers Assemble feedback episode, which I have already rounded up. And then we're going to do a news and feedback episode for MCU Cast, which both of those we will allow at the end. We will respond to chat and phone calls if anyone likes to call. So
see, the hard part about what just happened is that I have been working from home, so my jokes are bad.
Did you make a joke?
Yeah. I was saying that we're assembling. We've already binged. It's Bingers Assemble. We got to work out the order of things because we're obviously doing it wrong based on the name.
Oh, yeah.
And then you just started rattling off everything that we're doing today. And I was like, okay, sure.
You're like, oh, my joke didn't land. Whoops.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, damn.
Sorry about that. The one thing, if anybody wants, you know what? I'm going to do it.
Do it.
The one thing I'm going to do before we go live with this Bingers Assemble is I'm going to test our phone number and make sure it's ringing. Because last time we didn't do that and no one called and we didn't really know if it was their fault or ours. Not that it's their fault if they don't want to call. You know what I mean? It's like,
I'm blaming you for not calling.
It's more our fault, if anything. Oh, wow. My name is Matt.
Is it?
Okay. Oh, yeah. Hey, check that out. It's ringing.
Get the phone!
I'm trying.
Remember that as a kid?
Call from.
With the landline?
My name is Matt.
To accept, press 1. To send.
Don't do it.
Look, I accepted.
Don't.
Oh, man.
Oh man,
This is weird.
this is weird.
This is way too many Matts on the podcast right now. Okay, hung up on myself. Okay, so the phone number is working. It's active. Let's go to Bingers Assemble and get started.
Please.
Yes. Sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, you ready?
Sure, I'm recording on my end.
I'm recording on my end. I'm glad you said that because when we do all these things, sometimes we forget to do simple things like hit record.
Yeah. Press the red button.
Would not be the first time. You go ahead and do that intro. I'm going to take a sip of my Truly.
Sure. This time on Bingers Assembled, Bingers Matt, Carol, and Jeff Randall team up to take on Logan in the run-up. It's not a run-up anymore. It's so far away now, they pushed it back. The New Mutants is coming out at some point in time, soon, hopefully, after COVID-19. We're binging.
All that right after this. Welcome to Bingers Assemble. My name's It was so cool with the music.
Such a great name.
It was so cool with the music, and then I messed it up. Actually, I'm so sorry. Give me 1 second. I forgot to put my dogs outside, and as soon as we started recording, they went shaky, shaky, shaky. I'll be right back.
Okay. It's a good start. It's a great start. We're doing great things, guys. So who else just watched Logan for the first time? Hands up. Just me? Just me? Yeah. I feel like I had a huge blind spot in my life when I didn't watch Logan. And I'd like to apologize to literally everyone for missing that. I'm sorry. Don't tell Matt.
Gosh. Check. All right.
I can hear you.
I just dropped everything. Okay, here we go.
Yep.
Welcome to Bingers Assemble, the podcast where we rewatch movies so you don't have to. My name's Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
Buddy. We watched
Buddy?
Logan. And it's
Yeah,
my
man.
turn. It's my turn, isn't it, to do the shot?
Yeah, man, you get to do the shot on the good movies.
I totally did that on purpose.
Jerk.
Yep, I'm a huge jerk. I think next week we should do a Deadpool episode, and then we'll next week we'll do a podcast. I don't know. I was trying to make a joke about me doing the Deadpool episodes and you doing a Dark Phoenix, but it didn't work. The math didn't work out. Okay, but when you get to the shot,
never your strong suit.
let's get to the shot right now.
2 minutes on the clock.
2 minutes on the clock. And I forgot to have the timer up. Man, there's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on, guys. 2 minute timer on the clock. Here we go. Logan is the movie of a man who is dealing with his and his friends' mortality. It is about Wolverine, who we know from all these other movies, is a limousine driver who is using all of his resources and money to take care of his ailing mentor, Professor X, who is now listed as a weapon of mass destruction because of his seizures that can basically kill everyone within range of his seizures because of his mind powers. They are approached by a woman named Gabriella who has a child, and it turns out the child is birthed of Wolverine's DNA, and they go on a road trip to take her back to Eden, which Wolverine doesn't believe is real because it's from a comic book, but it turns out it was real. It's real because they made it real. These kids have gathered together at this point where someone in, I guess, the Canadian side of the line is letting them flee to Canada where they can be safe from the people trying to murder them, which is an American company named Alkali, actually, which is the only reference to Alkali Lake in this thing. So they fight. They create X-24, which is a Wolverine clone, and Wolverine ends up having to fight him, and he ends up sacrificing himself, giving his life. In the middle of the movie, X-24 kills Professor X, which is awful, and then he ends up sacrificing his life to stop X-24, and allow all the X-23 babies, the X-Men babies basically, to escape into Canada and and he kills everyone involved. That's my time. That's my time.
All right. Okay.
60 seconds on the clock. You got a
60
chaser.
seconds.
Your chaser is where you try to say all the things that I might have forgotten. So, 60 seconds on the clock and go.
Starting now. So the main thing that is left out in Matt's description is that this is the year 2029, and all mutants have basically been either killed or captured, and there are no more new mutants being born because of genetic modification to the drinks and food and whatnot that people consume. Dr. Rice is the leader of the program that made the X babies. He's trying to control the release of the X gene and control the mutations of humanity. Except that he's raising these children in a facility that looks basically like a prison, like a child prison, and is raising them to be weapons and to hate, and nobody likes that, obviously.
And your time.
I think that's
pretty solid. Good. You know, it's interesting. I think this is by far, by a mile, especially if you don't include the Deadpool movies, this is by a mile the best of this series, and it's interesting how simple the description is. Yeah. It's much easier to explain.
It's crazy when you strip it down to just the main story that you need to tell, that you want to tell. It becomes a much more cohesive thing.
Totally agree.
Coherent, cohesive, both of those words are good there.
All those things, yeah. And now we go into Mixers. Mixers is the segment where we talk about the characters in the movie. And again, I have a feeling this is going to be a really easy Mixers because the characters, there's very few of them, so we can really get into detail. Okay, starting the timer for Mixers. Obviously, the main character is Wolverine.
Obviously.
Logan.
It's named after him.
Logan, or James, as he's called in this, which I loved that callback to James being his original name. In the other movie that we just recently binged, Wolverine Origins. His whole arc in this is he's a man who's been just utterly defeated. His mentor, it sounds like, was responsible for killing all of his friends. At least that seems to be the illusion that they make. And he has something wrong with him that's causing him to lose his powers. And so this movie is about him finding hope. He doesn't even have the hope to help Gabriella when she approaches him. And then through this movie, he finds hope in X-23 and decides to lay his life down to save her. And it is, oh man, I cried so much
a lot
at the end of this movie.
I cried. Well, okay, so I was kind of banged up when Xavier had his seizure moment in Oklahoma City in the casino hotel. Because that's a man that just cannot control what he's doing, and age is taking him, and it's so heartbreaking to see that in a character that you love.
It really is.
But then again, when we lose that character, at the end of Act 2, and it killed me there. And then when we lose the main character at the end of the movie, I cried again. And then when she takes the cross and turns it into an X and walks away, and I just cried again. I was like, I can't help it. Oh no, what's happening to my face?
Yeah,
I was leaking a lot of fluids.
100%. Me too. Particularly when he's passing. That's what really got me. When he looks at her and says, "Don't be what they made you to be."
Oh God.
And then she says, "Daddy," after as she screams "Daddy" as he dies. Like, oh my gosh.
And he says, "So this is what it feels like."
Yep. Because he's watched so many people die, and he's never had that experience.
Oh God, it hurts.
Yeah, because it's a reminder of his. It's a perfect encapsulation of his actual struggles that he's gone through the entirety of this series. I think this is the 9th movie in the series that he has been in, all of them up till now, and that's.
He was.
He was in every one of them up till now. I hear he's not in Dark Phoenix, which, So someone commented. Actually, I think it's in our feedback. We'll talk about that. But someone commented that he's not in Dark Phoenix, and it didn't make the movie better because we had talked about how we could do with him not being in a movie. I don't mind that Wolverine's in all of them. I just don't like when they shove him in there just for that and don't care about the characters that are in the movies.
Shoehorning a character in because you don't care about the ones that you're telling the story about is not the way to go.
Yeah, not great. Well, we focused on Wolverine, rightfully so, but we do need to get to the other characters while we're still in mixers. Xavier is probably the secondary main character, and as you said, just tragic. Watching a character you love fall into dementia, and what is using superpowers in a way that I've never seen them used, in a way that like really is just heartbreaking because it's just making superpowers touch our world today, like touch the real problems that we have in our world today with this particular issue. It was horrible. It was horrible to watch.
Yeah. And it's really it's a thought experiment in what mutant powers, what superpowers would do in our world. We've talked a lot about, you and I at least have talked a lot about how superpowers in teenagers and budding youth and the hormonal children is a really bad thing. But then you think about on the back end, if they've gotten to the elderly phase where they're on their way out, if they don't have control of their facilities, then it might be even worse because they have developed their power to be so much stronger by that point. And then we see exactly the results of that.
Yeah, I agree 100%. God,
it's just watching him be so out of sorts and not in control. And this is a man that we have seen for, at this point, this came out in 2017, so this would have been 17 years, because 2000 was the first one. 17 years we've seen this character be so composed, and every time he's in his wheelchair, and it's Sir Patrick Stewart, he's just so completely together, and he's that he's got a plan for what's going on, or at least has hope that something good is going to come out of it. But now we see him just like wheeling around inside a fallen water tower, and he's just, it's like he is reciting a radio show or a television show.
Man, you just drew a connection for me that I didn't get before, that I actually really love. At the end of the movie, he always talks about going on the boat that they talk about getting.
Yeah.
And what do they call it? The Sea Runner or something?
The Sunseeker.
Sunseeker, thank you. Yeah, they're talking about getting a boat, a Sunseeker. And then at the end of the movie, so obviously he wants to be near water. Like that's part of what he wants. And at the end of the movie, he buries him and says, "Well, you got near water." Or he says at least he's near water, which I just that line completely broke my heart, because it's just like a justification. We build these narratives in ourselves. Anyway, we build narratives to soothe ourselves in these moments of tragedy, and he does that, trying to be like, at least I could do this for him, and it's so horrible. But he starts the movie in a water tower with no water in it, which I think is symbolic of the fact that he's seeking the Sunseekers where he wants to be. The water represents freedom in this narrative, freedom from this the pain that he can cause, actually. And in the beginning of the movie, he is not only in a desert, but just to drive that home, he's in a water tower with no water in it. That's a really cool touch. Now, okay, we ran through. The other main character is Laura, who is basically just a total badass, just an absolute badass, running around, killing everybody with her feet, has these crazy knives for feet. Just amazing, right?
Knives for feet. She didn't replace her feet with knives.
No, but she has knives for feet.
She has claws that come out of her feet,
Yeah.
similar to the claws that come out of Wolverine's knuckles and her knuckles. Just one claw each for each foot.
Yeah. Oh, so good.
And I love the story that Professor X tells about, or not story, but the factoid that he recites about, it's because she's female, and lionesses have the back claws that they use for defensive, for protection or whatever, and their front claws are for hunting because they're hunters and protectors.
Yeah, 100%. Favorite character moment for her was her reciting the movie quote, which we'll get into more in the next section. But man, it completely broke me because she's just a child. She doesn't know how to process this kind of grief, and she does it through this story that doesn't even really line up perfectly, but enough of it does that it was just absolutely a heartbreaking funeral scene. Oh. Okay, Caliban. We're running really low on time for this for mixers now because we focus so much. But we talked about X-24 as a character that clone Wolverine, no real character movement, just a bad guy.
Just a tool of the bad guys.
Yeah, tool of the bad guy. Dr. Rice is a Nazi, right? Basically, he bred out mutants out of the gene pool. Donald Pierce. I actually really liked Donald Pierce, the one-armed cowboy with the robotic arm. I found him really charming, and I in the scene at the casino where Professor X is doing what he's doing and about to kill everyone, basically, I actually saw he steps out of there, and I was like, oh, maybe his actions are kind of reasonable. You know what I mean? Like when he gets out of the thing and all these so many people are lying on the ground because one mutant is on the loose. Like you kind of get a chance to be like, oh, maybe he has a point. Maybe he's not as mustache twirly as he seems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he wasn't even looking for Xavier at the time, or when the movie started, so to speak.
No, well, yeah, he's not at all. But he does mention him. He knows about him.
Yeah, he knows that Logan's hiding Xavier south of the border. Yeah. But all he wants is Laura, and he doesn't he never makes a move for Xavier. It's always Logan is thinking I need to save Xavier. I need to get Xavier out of here because if somebody finds out that Xavier is here, they're gonna do something. They're gonna do something about it. And it's funny that this character who is so freaking powerful and is doing such bad things to everybody, even accidentally, just because he didn't take his medicine for 2 days. Mm-hmm. This character is not the main thrust of the bad guy's plan. It's because he wants to take the property back. Yeah. The property for which he is responsible is what he said. Yeah, and the world that they're in is just the dystopian world they build in this is so awful. It's it's very post-capitalist no, I guess capitalism run amok, and just it seems like governments seem to have no control, especially where they are at the border. All the murders that happen, and Wolverine doesn't even seem concerned about the law. He's just leaving bodies everywhere. So violent, this movie. Okay, we didn't talk about Caliban. He is a friend of theirs who his arc is actually really great, but he doesn't have too much bearing on the overall plot. He's their helper who ends up getting used by the bad guys and then getting thrown away. He waits for his moment and he blows up as many bad guys as he can and sacrifices himself to try to help. And I like his character a lot, and the actor who plays him is wonderful. Yeah, Stephen Merchant is always welcome in anything. Absolutely. Always my favorite role of his is the character in Portal. Oh, Wheatley. Yeah, it's great. So great in Portal. Yep. Okay, so moving on to our next section, which is open mic. Let's just talk about this movie. I just can't say anything but great things about this movie. It's just wonderful. Yeah. It's crazy that there is finally an X-Men movie, a Fox X-Men movie, that has made me wept, that has made me have such a strong emotional reaction to it. Because so far, like other than X2, all I've got is nostalgia, and it's just kind of like, I remember that. That was fun. And then the new stuff is just kind of like, meh. But then this one is like, it's so heart-wrenching and visceral, and the like taking this to an R rating and getting the blood and gore that Wolverine would have in a fight, because this is a guy who slashes people open as his power. Like getting all of that in the movie and seeing the reactions and seeing how just brutal his lifestyle is, like all of it made it so much more real and so much more visceral, and I got everything that I wanted. You know, I've been complaining about it for several movies now, that it's just his scenes are not brutal enough, and we see the things that he does, and there's just no real or no reaction that feels real enough. And now there is, and like the action has come full circle along with all of the emotion of his character.
Yeah, and it's just such a meditation on like growing old. You know, Wolverine, while Professor X is his mentor and is actually mentally older than Logan at this point because Logan lost a lot of his memories, Logan is older than X, and his age is coming to him too. And seeing he's such a physical character, and seeing his physical body failing him, is in the first scene his claw won't come all the way out; it's stuck, and then he's not healing as quickly as he should, but also. Professor X is a mental character, and Professor X his powers are failing him mentally, and he's ranting and raving. It was just such a poignant scene, and just so it's honestly just super touching and super heartbreaking all around. And there's so many lines in this that I just can't. He says, "What a disappointment you are" in the first scene. See, I thought when he was burying Xavier, I thought that he was saying it's not water, like it doesn't. There's no water. Sorry, and he was crying there or he was feeling the emotion there because I'm just a disappointment again, just another disappointment. No, I think let you down one more time. There was a lake there, and he said at least he has water, and it was him, I think, justifying to himself like I failed him. Like he died, and I mean, he didn't, but like that's how he's going to feel. But instead of feeling that way, he's written himself an out in his head that at least I was able to give him this beautiful moment. It's his funeral for Professor X, which leads me to the other funeral in the movie, which, oh my gosh, man, when she's quoting a lines from an old movie, which I don't know what the old movie's called, but it's an old Western, and the lines, it's kid logic. It's the only thing she knows. She hasn't ever seen a movie, probably. She's been in this like thing so long, and then she sits down and sees a movie, and it's incredibly meaningful to her, and she doesn't even really fully understand it because the lines she quote don't really make sense with the situation, but they make enough sense that it's really poignant. She says, "There's no going back from the killing," and she's talking about Wolverine, and she's talking about like. He used his whole life, and he just told her, don't be what they made you. And she's saying he never was able to really get rid of the killing. But then she says, go home to your mother, which doesn't make any sense in the situation, but like it's child logic of just quoting this thing she liked. But like it also is just go home to your family. Possibly to your actual mother, James, but possibly just to your family, to go home to heaven, take your rest. And then she says, there are no more guns in the valley. It's just it's like I'm trying to think about it because he used his last moments to take violence out of these children's lives. Like he did everything he ever did was violent, He never got to get away from violence, but he did everything he could in his last moments to remove the violence from these children's lives and
Man's
stop.
Gotta be what he is.
Yeah.
Man's gotta be what he is. The connection you made to there not being water in the water tower and Xavier being buried near water. how bad do you think it, or how much symbolism do you think is in the fact that Logan wasn't there to defend Xavier because he was going to fix the water situation for the house?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. Yeah, like I didn't notice that connection to water until we're sitting here talking about it, which is, it's why I love talking about this stuff. That's exactly it.
It's been 3 years since the movie came out. We're just making the connection to water.
Yeah. And I mean, I knew water was meaningful at the end, but I didn't realize it. The water tower just made me, you said broke down water tower. And I was like, oh yeah, that absolutely connects. Dang.
Yep. And it was all, Xavier was in the space where the water should have been, just rolling around, raving. Ugh.
He wants his freedom. And I think water represents that freedom for him throughout the movie. And in the end, he gets it, but only in death does he get that water, get to be close to the water.
Well, not just that, but also if you're out on the water in a craft, a boat of some sort, a ship, whatever, yacht, if you're out on the water, you're usually pretty far away from everybody. So that was kind of a way to get Xavier in the safest space that he could be in, to keep Xavier from accidentally hurting a ton more people.
Yeah. I just think this movie, on top of being such a masterful artistic movie, it's also it's just such a great, like, it's not family friendly, but it feels like it feels like an 80s family adventure, fish out of water comedy buddy cop movie in so many scenes. Like, there's so many scenes where it's just them trying to make their way through the world, and it just feels like so many movies I watched growing up. It feels like T2. It feels like I don't know, E.T. or something. You're like it does. Like it's just like a fish out of the water plot, and X-23 is like E.T. Like, she comes from another place, she doesn't understand the world, and then Wolverine has to help her through it, and they have to run from these government bad guys. Like, it's a kind of movie that isn't made very often these days, that I grew up loving. It felt adventurous, like Goonies feels adventurous, like that kind of an adventure, although it was very adult. So I think it ties into that adult in me with all these themes, but it ties into a guy my age because it's very much like the movies I grew up on. It feels like Short Circuit to me. You know what I mean? Like, it has that sort of like just adventure, but also kind of funny, but also serious. I don't know. It's a great movie.
It's like the genre that you're talking about grew up with us. Exactly.
That's exactly what I'm trying to say. Yeah, perfect.
Yep.
Okay, well, that is our open mic. Anything else to say? Last thing to say?
I guess the one final thought. Actually, this will lead straight into the Delta, because my high point in this movie was everybody sitting down at the dinner table and X-23, or Laura, sorry, let's call her by her name, Laura being at the dinner table and eating with her hands and just like looking like a savage. And Logan's like, come on, we're in good company. Like, use fork. Come on.
I loved the moments of Logan parenting.
Yeah, Logan parenting this little girl, and Charles being just like his dad, and saying that he used to run the school, and I would say that you were a good pupil, but the words would choke me. Like, watching all of these little character moments in this thing, and like it just really drove home how much they love each other, and how much everybody, like, how much they care about each other, how much there's normal people in the world that care about each other, and there's still good there. There's still hope for a family somewhere, and then they all get killed. Matt, they all die.
That is,
all of them.
I'm glad you brought that up. That is the darkest turn I've ever seen a movie have.
Yes,
God. It's the movie, the kind of movie I was just talking about. It's the the buddy cop 80s action adventure kids movie, and then suddenly everyone dies but the two of them, and then suddenly it's just a very different movie. And it hits me in a way that, like, nothing, no other movie does, I don't think. Like, It suddenly becomes so emotional and so hard to watch. Professor X, I wanted to say it during talking about his character. When he dies, like when he gets stabbed through the heart, there's just such confusion. He's talking to Wolverine and he says, "I finally understand you." There's so much tragedy in this. He says, I finally understand you, and Logan doesn't get to hear that.
Yeah,
which is
don't
really
get to have that moment.
It's so awful, but then also he has to die at least for a moment, thinking that Wolverine did it, and it's such a horrible thing.
And then Logan picks him up, going, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me."
And we just don't know if he ever heard that. All he says is Sunseeker.
God.
I'm welling up with tears thinking about it, and right now it is such a hard movie.
Why do we do this to ourselves, Matt?
I don't know, man. Well, my high point in this movie is the moment of Wolverine's death. Just him. It just encapsulates his character perfectly. Just his don't be what they made you. That's his ethos, like, completely. It's summed up so perfectly. And then oh gosh, what was the last thing he said? I had it in my notes, but I deleted it because we already talked about it. This is behind the scenes, everybody. Well,
this is what it feels like.
Yeah, that's it. And then he says, "This is what it feels like," and then her saying "Daddy." That's the real one, man. That got me so hard. And he never hears that. There's so much tragedy in this movie because so many of the characters don't get the moments that are meant for them. And X waited too long to understand Wolverine, and Wolverine and the little girl waited too long to really connect with him as a father, because it's after he dies that she says "Daddy," so he never gets to hear that. It's just those two moments are so tragic to me. Tell everyone you know you love. Tell everyone that you love them. That's the lesson I'm taking from this.
Yeah, and I don't want to say it's a low point, but the emotional, like, "you've hurt me" kind of moment, where, like, I didn't like what happened on screen, even though it was really good, because there's no, like, bad moments in this movie, in my opinion.
I've got one.
He's got one.
I've actually got two.
He's got a couple. You made up for my not having one.
Yep, you don't have one, so I'll say two.
Yeah, the low point that I had, where I got that gut punch of a character not understanding it, is Logan saying, everyone that I care about has something bad happen to them, and she says, "Well, I'll be fine."
Oh, that was rough, but that's an amazing moment, though. Like, you can't call that a low point to this movie, so I'll give low points. That moment is amazing.
It is amazing, but I'm like, no, you don't understand.
Yeah. Ooh, my low point for this movie, I'll give two. One's just an effects issue, which,
Okay.
Whatever. The effects when he is being carried up the mountain on that stretcher thing are awful. He's strapped in, and it's just super green screened, like, to the point, like, it looks like a bad YouTuber at certain moments. That's kind of rough. Other low point is when it's a great moment in the movie, but when he goes through killing everyone at the casino, why do those men stay standing? It doesn't make any sense.
Doesn't make much sense at all.
Like, some of them it kind of does. Like, I guess X is freezing everyone in place, but he's doing it through mental power. So if your mind,
not telekinesis.
Yeah, he doesn't have telekinesis. He has telepathy. So when he stabs that one guy completely through the brain,
through the face,
through the face, up
face.
through the he kills multiple of them in ways that, like, sure, like a gut stab, maybe X could control them mentally to make them continue standing, but those ones through the brain, that kind of strains incredulity. So yeah, those are my low points. I had to have one.
They did that just so that they could have that neat moment where he gets Professor X with the shot, and then he and everyone else all fall down.
I know that. I get it. But for me,
I see that, but it doesn't make sense.
Well, it doesn't make sense with his power set, and so I would much rather have them had all of them stay standing except that one guy he stabbed through the head. Maybe like if he stabs that one guy through the head and he falls, it honestly would have cleared up what was going on, which is Professor X is freezing them all using their brains, and once that guy's brains is destroyed, he might have fallen, and then the rest of them fall. When he finishes his seizure. Anyway, it's obviously a very tiny quibble, such the tiniest of quibbles.
It's kind of nitpicky at this point.
For sure, 100%. Okay, what should they learn from this movie? What going forward in this series and also in the MCU?
I mean, it's the same thing that we've been saying before. Make us care about the character, love the character, and strip everything, all the unnecessary garbage away to one cohesive story that makes sense. When you strip it all down to its barest, you can have the good character moments and have characters that we love and have them have emotional moments that we also feel. And this movie was a perfect example of that.
Yeah, I agree. This is the kind of other side of the coin of what we've been saying. Like, we've been saying it for 9 movies, and now we got one that they actually did what we're talking about. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about.
We're vindicated.
Yeah, exactly. The shot and the chaser today were so easy because it's such a simple movie. Like, it really is self-contained and simple and lovely, and all the stuff that's really going on is going on in the characters, and that's what matters.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think that's all binge this. I think that's Bingers Assemble for this week, guys. We're going to drop another episode after this one that is going to be a feedback episode, which we plan to do, but we don't want to do them on these casts because of anyway. So, yeah, we'll be back soon with a feedback episode. Peace. Oh, hold on. Here we go. Music. Bingers Assemble is a Stranded Panda podcast. Go to strandedpanda.com. Find other podcasts from these guys. Yeah.
Can that be the outro like forever now?
I could actually that's the Stranded Panda voice. Like he comes on
the
at the
mascot.
end. He comes on at the end of the podcasts.
Hey guys. The panda here.
Panda
isolated on my island. If you want to hear more of these guys, go to strandedpanda.com.
That's pretty fun. I like it. We may be changing all of the outros. All right. Well, we're about to get started with a feedback episode. I'm gonna run to the bathroom though because I had a Truly and it just ran right through me. Actually, I drank like 3 sips. I don't know why I have to go to the bathroom again.
Please tell me more.
Too much water today. It's the live stream. People want behind the scenes stuff, So I'm just telling them
that they do.
Telling them about my urination schedule.
Yep. Totally needed it.
If you don't want to hear about my urination schedule, you let us know and we'll cut back on that kind of talk.
There's the notification.
Okay.
Somebody say, please stop.
I'll be right back.
All right, guys, I think that went well. I think he didn't notice that I hadn't watched the movie until just now. Made it. I don't know why I'm whispering.
Checkity check. You got me?
Yeah.
All right. Do you see the Bingers feedback full document.
Bender's feedback. Yes.
I've just been kind of collecting it over the past 2 months because we as we've talked about in the past, we're trying to make all the Bingers episodes sort of self-contained, so they're not timely and not really stick to the movie we're talking about and make them as quick as possible. So I've been just saving up Bingers feedback and figured we could do a quick one of those. What do you think?
Sure.
Cool.
Sure.
Well, it's a classic old feedback episode. We don't really have a structure for it, so we'll just do our thing.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
This time on Bingers Assembled, we got Bingers feedback. Bingers feedback, man. We're getting feedback.
I like it. Did you just call it Bingers Assembled?
Maybe.
I think you did. It's a symbol, man.
We're assembled. Come on.
Get with the program.
Okay.
Right after this ad, we have no control over. Okay. Whoa, hold on. Music. The theme.
Yep. You're right.
I'm gonna do a guitar solo over that with all cat screeches.
Let me know when that episode is coming out, because I want to avoid it.
That's fair. That's fair. Welcome to Bingers Assemble. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
Today, we are the podcast where we rewatch movies so you don't have to is taking on the challenge of talking about your feedback that you've been sending in over the past few months.
We read feedback so you don't have to.
That's right. That's right. And we've got a few pieces of feedback here. How about it, Jeff? Our resident reader of
our resident reader.
I say that because I am not I'm not a reader. I'm the resident illiterate.
My superpower, guys. Reading.
Jeff Randall, reader. That's a really bad superhero name.
Yeah, the reader. I just sit in the library all day. Tim Brown said to us, things I would have changed about X-Men Origins Wolverine that others had not mentioned, as there is just so much to complain about that movie, as I also felt it had potential. Maybe you guys did talk about and cover what I'm about to say. I'm just about to listen to your binge episode about it.
Oh, okay. So this is pre-feedback.
This is feed forward, not feedback.
What you got,
I don't
Tim?
need to be drunk. Number one, I would have had Lady Deathstrike as part of the Stryker X team, her being pre-adamantium, and I would have had it where her and Logan actually got along well. Not necessarily romantic, as it doesn't need to, but maybe the closest he has to a true buddy on the team. This would give a tragic weight to their final fight in X2, as at that point they don't even remember each other. Or at least Logan doesn't. Deathstrike is more or less mind-controlled.
Ooh. That's interesting. I like because that moment is really horrible. When the liquid adamantium drips from her face as tears, it's a horrible scene. And I agree. If that scene was her, what was a tragedy instead, I agree. I think that's a really smart change there.
You know, it would only be a tragedy for us as viewers.
I agree, but that's kind of beautiful, right?
I don't know, because so some of the beauty of having tragedy in the film is having the character experience that instead of it just being us. Like when we have to think about it and then experience it, it lessens the weight of what the character goes through. Possibly,
but I mean, we just talked about Logan, and like when she says "daddy" in Logan, and that's like he doesn't know that happened. You know what I mean?
Sure
I guess she does. I guess she. I don't think so. I think he's dead at that point.
Oh, well.
But it's still tragic for him.
She experiences that.
Yeah.
If you have a tragic moment that neither character on screen experiences, that would not be. It's not good storytelling.
Yeah. Maybe. It would. I'm just saying it's clever. It's clever. I like it. I don't hate it. It's not like it would have to be. It would never. That's the thing. It would never actually be a tragedy on film, though. Like it would never seem like a tragedy to us when we're watching these movies. It's just like when you think about the connection, it's a tragedy. You know what I mean? Anyway, so it wouldn't have to be, the characters don't have to react to it. It would just have to be like, oh, wow, I see what they did there. That's interesting. You know?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, plus in X2, they had not, concepted X-Men Origins Wolverine yet. So,
right.
For
sure.
Having that happen is like we would go to watch Origins Wolverine and be like, oh, hey, remember her in that other movie?
Yeah.
And then they fought and he killed her. And like, oh, man, they used to be friends. And then they didn't even notice it.
You're describing...
That's really sad.
You're describing...
And that's what we go through.
You're describing exactly what Tim is saying, and I know. And I agree. It would be awesome.
I'm going along with it now. I've convinced myself.
I thought you were still on the other side. Sorry. Okay.
Nah.
You
I know
were...
it sounded like it. I had the tone like it. I couldn't change that.
At some point, you were brought around. Okay, so what else has Tim got to say?
By my own words. Number 2, instead of Logan being shot to make him forget, stupid, I would have him have gotten injected with a serious overdose of the fluid from Stryker's son, same stuff that was used in X2, and that, along with some use of Stryker's son, would be the reason Logan's mind got messed up. Stryker's son was powerful enough to mess up Xavier. He could mess up Logan.
Yeah, that could be good. I hear him. I didn't mind that part of that story. I didn't mind. I really minded what it did for the movie. I just think the entire concept of having him forget at the end of X-Men Origins, which I know has to happen, but I would have much rather him woken up, like this bullet, this adamantium bullet needed to happen at the beginning of the movie. You know what I mean? Like 15 minutes in, we get the establishment of all the characters in the movie, and then we get an actual origin for who Wolverine is in the future, not a origin for a guy that we never meet again. You know what I mean? That's my problem with the bullet.
The thing with this is that it would be really simple to make him forget in the adamantium bonding process, because he's in the chamber and he flatlines. He's dead. He could be brain dead at that point. Very easily have that be like, oh, he died and forgot everything.
Yeah. Oh man, I got it. Like they you could rewrite that scene, the adamantium scene, where they load him up. It happens. He goes completely brain dead. So his brain truly dies, and he's still underwater. And it's like 5 minutes later, they've already unhooked him. They've taken the chains off. They're like moving his body, and that's when he wakes up. You know what I mean? Or like, yeah. Like you can totally do that.
In the flashbacks in the first movie, you see him not understanding what's going on with himself. Like he wakes up screaming and starts hacking people up, and is like, oh God, what's with my hands? And then leaves. And like that, it'd be so simple to have him just go brain dead, not know, they could be moving him, that's fine. And then he wakes up, freaks out, what the hell's going on, becomes an animal, kills everybody, and runs out. Like, done.
Yeah. There's just a lot you could do. But that still doesn't fix the problem of having a movie where you're telling the origin of a character that doesn't, the origin of the character they tell never appears again. And that's the problem. Like, even in your story, like, you still... No, never mind. You're right. When he gets the origin serum, that would be about 15 minutes in. You're telling me the same thing I was. We're having a hard time communicating today, Jeff.
It's okay. It's the quarantine.
It's the quarantine. I haven't been around people in a while.
I don't know how to talk to people, especially you. Oh, that came out wrong. That came out really aggressive.
It did. It hurt.
It's okay. We'll be fine. We'll get through this. Let's go to number 3 that Tim Brown sent us. Number 3, Cyclops would be displayed with force blasts, not blasts that give heat.
Yeah, this annoys me every time I watch an X-Men movie, because he's supposed to have concussive blasts, and they never... It kind of reminds me of how they're treating Scarlet Witch these days, where like she has powers, but you don't really know what they are. Yeah. They just give him like general heat ray vision, I guess. But it also explodes rocks and stuff. So it's like it is a concussive blast, but it's also a heat blast, and it also seems to melt things. I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. I wish they would define his powers in these movies. So yeah, I agree. I think going forward, that's something we've never mentioned, but I think in the future of the MCU, hopefully, when they bring Cyclops around, they will define his powers as concussive blasts.
Yep. And number 4, instead of Gambit, I would actually would have it had be. Hold on, the verbiage is weird.
I would have had it be.
Yeah. Number 4, instead of Gambit, I actually would have had it be Banshee, who was a former Interpol agent, help Logan out. This is not as major as any of my other wants. It's just my personal choice. Everything else, either I know you heard, or I bet you will cover. Nobody is down with how they did Deadpool.
Truth. He has a little more down there.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Okay. Oh, yeah. Almost forgot. Instead of Deadpool having all the powers, I would have made that Cal Rankin, the Mimic, who may or may not have been on Stryker's team. I go back and forth on that treatment in my head. The Mimic in the comics was not a mutant, was a non-mutant who could copy mutants' powers and was the first non-mutant to join the team, although a friend told me that he is retrofitted into being a mutant now. I also bet we could copy non-mutant powers, but for the movie, I would make it mutants specifically.
My favorite thing is about this whole feedback, Tim. I really love that you give so much thought to what you would do. I think that's a lot of fun. It really is.
Is it?
Yeah. Like, he's clearly not just saying, like, I would do this, and that's like I do that. We do that a lot. But like he's like I go back and forth in my mind about that. Like he's really turned this one over and over, and I think that's super fun. To really have, this is what that movie should have been, because we think of that on the podcast, but it's all just kind of off the cuff, and then later I'm like, what did I say?
I said what?
Yeah.
So it's funny that you say that, when I have been working on a show idea in the background. I haven't told you about it yet.
No, I want to hear.
That is effectively exactly that. I'm calling it Script Doctors, where we basically just take movies that had every opportunity to be good, like Apocalypse. Had all the cast of the previous movies that were at least decent, and it had all these characters that could have been good. The Apocalypse thing, saying no more spears, no more slings, no more arrows. Like,
yeah,
it could have been a good thing there. And we basically would be breaking down the movies that should have been good, could have been good, and just reworking them into how we would have done the movie. Maybe dropping characters, dropping scenes, fixing things, telling different story, kind of introing characters in different ways, things like that.
Yeah, I love that.
Good, because I'm working on it.
I love that. It definitely sounds like a fun idea. I'm already running through ideas in my head of how you could structure that and make those conversations flow. So if you want some thoughts, I'll throw them at you if you like. But yeah, we'll talk about it off cast. That's cool.
Absolutely. Let's see. Next up, Matthew Waldow, maybe? Waldow. Matthew, the 15th Matthew on this cast, sent us an email. Hey guys, I'm catching up on X-Men stuff right now. You all mentioned doing Apocalypse, then Logan. You are including Deadpool in all this, right? Hopefully that can help cleanse the bad movies like Dark Phoenix as you go along.
I wanted to throw this in because we never really did touch on that on the cast, why we're not including Deadpool. But there were multiple reasons. One being there's no real connection to these other stories except for the one scene where you see the characters in the background. But that's more of a joke than anything. Yeah. And while those movies are wonderful, and I could definitely talk about them, we have covered them before on MCU Cast, at least in the second one. So I was less raring to do it, but also we were trying to get this out in time for New Mutants, which did not end up happening, or well, it did not come out. It's supposed to come out in 3 days, and it is not going to. So now we're trying to figure out, we might do the Deadpool movies now that we have time, but we're probably going to go ahead and finish what we're doing, and then since the Deadpool movies don't really connect anyway, we'll probably go back and do the Deadpool movies as their own series, so that when Deadpool 3 comes out, we could also run those episodes for Deadpool 3 as well, because they're just so different. I felt like we should wait for Deadpool 3 to do that, and so we might wait, we might do them. Depends on what they do with New Mutants. If they decide to throw it up on streaming in the next couple days, we might hey, why not? Let's do it. Or well, I'm sorry, I meant the opposite. If they decide to throw it up on streaming in the next couple days, we don't have time. But if they decide to hold it off for 4 more months or whatever, then there's no real point in putting it out now, you know?
Yeah, and when we do go to binge Deadpool, if we do binges assemble on Deadpool, it's definitely going to be one of those because Deadpool exists wherever he feels like it. It would be an episode like that, like, yeah, you know, we were going to throw it in, but here we go, you know.
Yeah, and especially if he ends up being in the MCU, like clearly with our MCU cast, we're gonna cover those movies, and so it might just be more efficient to wait till we find out what they're doing with Deadpool 3.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what we're working with, and honestly, when we thought of Bingers Assemble, it was all about, we were like, all right, we want to get this series covered, and then this series covered, and then this series covered, and we timed them all out perfectly, and like we had all this stuff where we're like, okay, this is 8 weeks in between this movie and this movie. We're going to cover these movies, and then there's 7 weeks between this movie and that movie, and then there's 3 weeks, and we're going to cover these movies, and we had this whole schedule worked out.
And now all theaters are canceled.
Yeah, so all movies are no longer happening. So now we're just kind of scrambling to what we're going to do next. So we're going to finish this binge, and then basically we might take a little hiatus while we figure out what is going on. Although I say that, me and Jeff might take a hiatus from Bingers, and we might not start a new movie binge yet. But we are doing. Obviously, if you're listening to this, you've seen it in the stream. We're doing regular Bingers Assemble TV watches right now as part of our quarantine binge.
Man, I gotta say, it's a good thing this is a feedback episode, because I've been listening to you guys do Altered Carbon, and I'm loving how much you love that series.
Oh, I love it so much. I love it so much.
I told you would.
It looks like, I really hate it because I'm loving doing it every day, but it looks like basically me and Matthew bit off more than we can chew with doing it every day, so we're probably going to drop to 3 days a week. Do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But the thing that really makes me mad is I want to get through the series. Like, I don't want to wait Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I want to watch. I don't want to not watch it right now, much less wait till only do 3 episodes a week. 5 episodes a week was like a pretty good pace. It was like giving me time to think about it, but still letting me watch the next episode pretty soon. Man, I am loving it. And I can't say. I was gonna say there's. I don't say what. I know about an actor and who he plays in season 2.
Okay.
Matthew Westfox does not know that yet.
Okay.
And so I think that's been really fun because I just think that's going to be really exciting for multiple reasons. Yeah, I'm excited that like me and Matthew came in knowing almost nothing about Altered Carbon. So
yeah, and like I feel now I feel like I understand those listeners that we have that, you know, whenever we do one day at a time on like a Netflix series or something like that, or 1 episode per day, and they're like, oh god, I binged it all yesterday. So like listening to you guys talk about, you know, conjecturing what's going on with episode 1, like it's crazy. You guys are just way off. I feel exactly that.
Yep. You know, it's funny.
It's so crazy to be on that side of it now.
It's funny that you say that because Matthew came to me and this was on the cast. I don't know if you were there, if you heard this one yet or not. He was like, oh man, I finally know what you and Jeff feel like. I'm on the other side of watching these every day for the Netflix series, and I hate it. I hate waiting for the next episode to come, for us to watch the next episode. And I was like, Matthew, we don't wait. We do like long binges where we do like 6 episodes in a row. Like Jeff used to come to my house and we would like watch 6 episodes and order a pizza and just like binge the whole series practically, or half the series in one day. And he was like, "What? You lied to us?" And I was like, "No, we didn't lie. We said it clearly on the podcast that we were doing it faster for our patrons." patreon.com/MCUcast. But we're doing it faster for our patrons, you know, like, and he was like, "Oh, I never heard that." Anyway, at this point, I'm recounting an episode of Bingers Assemble on an episode of Bingers Assemble. So let's move on to more Bingers feedback.
I mean, if we're talking about things that we binge, come on now.
Yeah. Hopefully all of you are bingering. Bingering?
Yeah, take your time.
Benjurers assemble.
Okay, Tim Brown assembled.
Yeah,
said,
Tim Brown. More Tim Brown. Throw us whatever Tim Brown has to say.
Days of Future Past, 2 things. Or DUFP, 2 things. I'm assuming it's Days of Future Past. When you think about it, you wonder, why the hell did future Magneto tell Wolverine to go get his younger version when actually younger Magneto didn't help anything and actually pushed things into a worse spot? If they had left Magneto in jail, it'd make things a lot easier. And 2, your previous guest was right in that you guys really do need to watch the Rogue cut and do commentary. Rogue is more in the film and not just a scene at the end. There's a whole new sequence added to the film, and because of that, a couple characters died differently.
Interesting. We should do that, especially while there's still time. Like I'll forget what was in the other cut if we don't watch it soon. You know what I mean? Like I'll be like, was this in there? I don't remember.
Is this different?
Yeah. I'm down for that sometime, especially if we get this long break of no movies coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I would put that one in the same bucket as the Deadpool movies.
Neat.
In that, we could do them if they're not going to drop it on streaming anytime soon.
Yeah, basically we're trying to get through because it's very possible that next week they'll go, okay, this streaming thing is working. We're going to, especially New Mutants, which isn't going to have nearly the following that something like Black Widow would. They might use New Mutants as a test balloon to see how many people will actually go pay for it in streaming. And so if that's the case, and then like April 3rd we get New Mutants, then we want to be done with the movies. So we're trying to get through them. As for Magneto, I would say that's the twist of the movie. I agree with you that they should have probably left him on ice. I forget exactly what he did to help them track down Mystique, or like help them convince Mystique. You know what I mean? That's his arc in the movie, is he's trying to convince Mystique to stop hunting down Dinklage. But
the Dinkles.
The Dinkles.
Oh man,
his name is so silly.
He's such a good actor.
He's such a great actor. Where was I? But I think the idea is that he went back and asked him to go back and find his former self, thinking that Wolverine and Charles would be able to convince his former self to work with them to stop the death of all the mutants. But he underestimated how very angry his former self was, and he thought, surely I'm a logical person now. Surely I was logical back then. And we all think that. I think that's totally defensible, because I think that Magneto is looking at his past self and going like, surely my past self would help save the world, right? Like, no, your past self would have wanted to conquer the world. Like,
your past self was a dick.
Yeah. And I kind of love that he was like, go get me. You know who would help this situation? Past me. That's the guy you want. And then they go and do it, and it's like, oh, past you was an absolute asshole. Oh,
that was the worst idea.
That was a bad idea.
Well, okay, so the real reason they did it is so that they could get these actors in again. Like, that's it. That's all there was to it.
Oh, for sure. Well, the reason they did this was to bring those worlds together. But to Tim's point, you wouldn't have to say go get him. They could have just done something else with that, like not had him be in jail or whatever. He could have broken out himself, or it could have just coincided or whatever. It didn't have to. Have to be that line in there. But I kind of love it that Eric thought his past self would help, and then his past self didn't.
Yeah. I would have liked it if Eric showed up later, like in the change or whatever, in the new future, and had been like, oh yeah, God, I am so sorry. I was not very helpful.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing, is like, we don't know what ends up happening to Magneto in that future yet. So right. I don't know if he's in Dark Phoenix or not, but it's possible that he does end up being even darker of a character, because if the world doesn't fall apart, does Eric kind of change his ways and join Professor X, which is actually, this ties in perfectly with Matthew S. Fox's question that he has right here in the next feedback.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, yeah.
He says, speaking about Logan, does this movie mean that Professor X was wrong and Magneto was right? Professor X's life has been focused on the optimism and hope that humanity would learn to accept mutants, where Magneto always said no. They will hate us and fight us, so we must fight back. Is this movie an argument that X was wrong?
I think it is a dark future for the mutants in that movie. The fact that they don't exist anymore, or at least at random. But I don't necessarily think that it's because of Professor X's team. It's a combination. The world moves the way the world moves, and it's possible that it's exactly Magneto's actions in Days of Future Past, for instance. It's those exact actions that inspired a young doctor to start working on a way to suppress the gene. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like maybe if Magneto hadn't tried to depolarize the planet in Apocalypse, because it's very possible that this wouldn't have ever happened in Logan. So I don't think that you've got to consider both sides. It's possible that either both of their actions and therefore both of their rhetoric led to the world that we're in, and it's possible that them not being able to come together and decide on a strategy is what led to this, because if the X-Men joined forces with Magneto, they could probably conquer the planet, but do they want to conquer the planet? And the answer for X is no.
It's not. We're probably going to do X-Men Apocalypse first on Script Doctors, just because we've already worked it out. We worked it out at work. It's me and a guy that I work with.
Nice.
Where we basically just sit and talk all day when we don't have meetings, or in between meetings. Like, God, get out of that one. Now, where were we? Right, we dropped Mystique. But we're probably going to do Apocalypse first. And one of the major things is this trifecta, so to speak, that could have happened with Xavier and Apocalypse and Magneto, in that Xavier wants to save people and hope that they'll just come around with rhetoric and good logical thinking, and then Apocalypse is like, no, they're children, we have to take their toys away from them so that they don't hurt us or themselves. And then Magneto is like, no, they're monsters, we have to kill them all and become the new dominant species. And having the three of them disagree in the ways that they would, obviously with those outlooks, would have been so much better a character disagreement than what happened on screen. Yeah,
I agree with that. We're getting close to our end of our feedback here, so in just a couple minutes we're going to open the phones. If anybody has any phones or live chat, so if anybody has any phone or live chat feedback, you can call up and be on the podcast for a minute and tell us what you think, or you can just drop your chat in the feed and we will kind of talk about live chat things. So I think this coffin thing we're about to talk about was a response to Matthew Westfox's feedback. So
Yep. She said, all I got from all the newer movies is how much they make Professor X look terrible. It gets worse and worse as the movies go. I never understood it. I got in first class how he was a bit pompous and made bad choices. But to make that his character trait for every film after never made any sense to me. Hashtag Team Eric.
Oh, man. I didn't realize Ashley was evil.
With a name like Ash Coffin, come on.
That's true.
You didn't see this coming?
You didn't see this coming.
You didn't see that coming.
Yeah, no. I agree. I think they may have overcorrected a little bit with Professor X, because in the old movies he's just like the sage, wise old dude, right? And so in the new movies, they made it to make them more morally complex, which I'm all for. But basically everything is Professor X's fault for the rest of time. And like, it starts to really be a little bit his fault and everything. It's kind of that Batman paradox where like Batman's Batman, but all the problems, all the villains are his fault.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of the villains in Batman's Rogues Gallery are his fault.
Yeah.
he wouldn't exist, or rather, the Joker wouldn't exist if Batman hadn't shown up to be his antithesis.
Yeah, it's obviously it's not in every version of the reality or whatever, or version of the Batman reality. But if you look at the disparate versions of Batman's reality, and then you compare it, like almost every villain is either Batman's fault or the Wayne Corporation's fault, which is also Batman's fault. Yep. So like almost everyone in Batman's Road Gallery in one form of the universe is Batman's fault. And it's just really funny that it's I guess it's just that well-worn trope. I mean, it's kind of in every superhero movie that's they always want to tie the villain to the hero to make it interesting. And clearly that happens in Batman a lot.
I mean, the same kind of logic as what Vision had in Civil War. He said, our very strength breeds challenge, breeds conflict. So the fact that they exist is a reason that some of these villains come up.
Yeah.
Or rather, the fact that they exist. Anyway. Shall we move on?
Sure. I think we have one more feedback.
Yep. Jordan Shelley says, hey guys, love the new show, listening to Days of Future Pants right now, and I totally agree with how the future team gets kind of relegated to behind the scenes. I think Matt had mentioned that he wished they would have failed to make their scenes more important. Well, my friends, I typically don't feel like director's cuts add much. However, the road cut is worth a look. Here we are again. The road cut is worth a look. Wolverine accidentally stabs Kitty, so this forces Xavier and Magneto to go on a mission to find Rogue so she can steal Kitty's powers to complete the task of keeping Wolverine in the past. The sequence of them finding Rogue in the mansion is cut with the climax sequence of the Magneto scene in the past, so you're seeing two dramatic sequences play out together. It makes the future cast more important, and we get to see Anna Paquin. Really recommend it, guys. Thanks for all you do.
Neat. And he still does stab her in this, but she just like ladies up or whatever, you know?
Yeah, she just fortifies and deals with it.
Keeps dealing, which, you know, I liked that moment in the movie, but yeah, if that spins off to an entirely different sequence, that's interesting. Cool. Well, now we know what happens. Now we don't even have to watch it.
Yeah, we don't have... we can just incorporate it into this. Put that as the title for this one.
The road cut
and feedback.
Sorry. That's probably only really funny to me. You know what I mean? Like, that's very funny to me because it's a it's a joke about titling podcast episodes, which I have to do a few times a week. So that's very, very funny to me. Well, that's all our feedback. If anybody wants to call in here on the call-in or say anything on the chat in any of the various chat rooms, do that now. It looks like we have a few chats, mostly my mom talking to my uncle, apparently. My mom, I don't know if she's listening to this. She might be. My mom does not know how to use Facebook. She doesn't know how to send messages. So she's always writing things on walls and on videos that are like, I don't know. It's just really funny. It's very funny. It's like she signs every one of her Facebook posts. She always goes mom, like comma or dash mom, just to let me know. Like oh gosh, yeah. But right now, her and my uncle are having a back and forth in our chat, which I think is very funny. Hey guys, I don't know if you're still there, but that's super funny.
Hello, welcome to it.
welcome to the live podcast, Mom. I'm sharing this on Facebook. I'm using my personal Facebook to stream it because that's how you have to stream using Restream.io. You can't. It costs money to do it to a page, so I just did it to my personal so we could share it around Facebook. But and a few people are listening on there, so welcome, guys, welcome. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody call in. So I'm guessing we're going to shut her down with the Bingers Assemble. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us on Bingers. We'll be back real soon with the last Dark Phoenix. Dark Phoenix is coming soon. And then depending on the schedule of New Mutants, we may do the Rogue Cut. We may do Deadpool movies. We just gotta figure that out. That's kind of got to come with the. Or it also might affect it if they do decide to drop something. Like, basically every movie we decided to cover were all sequels, and all of those sequels have been pushed back. There's a few movies that are dropping on streaming, but they're all kind of independent movies. There's almost nothing that we were planning. So far, there's nothing that we're planning to cover that is currently on the schedule for the next 3 months. So join us in the Altered Carbon watch. By the way, Altered Carbon is a super adult show. So if you are not into sex and violence, or if you are young and shouldn't be watching that or listening to that, that show and that podcast are discuss those topics, because that show is a lot more adult than the MCU. So, or these Fox Marvel movies. So just a little beware to you.
Buyer beware.
Buyer beware. Okay, guys, we're going to let you go now. That is Bingers Assemble. Peace. Music. Here we go.
Do it.
Welcome. Thank you for listening to Bingers Assemble. I can't find the voice anymore. It's kind of more of a, hey you guys. Hey you guys. Hey you guys. This is Bingers Assemble. Stranded Panda. StrandedPanda.com. Check it out. Okay.
Wow.
Okay, well, now we're getting ready to do our MCU cast episode, right? That's next?
Yeah.
Man. We're doing this live, so everyone can hear us talking about this. Have you got any news rounded up? I know I added a couple things to the doc there.
Yeah, there is no news.
There's very little news, but there's a couple things we can talk about.
Really, the only thing that we can talk about is the explosion of the discussion about which is the worst MCU movie.
There's that. That is absolutely one of the things I was talking about. Thor 2 versus Iron Man 3. There's also the Kevin Feige confirmed that the character from the Incredible Hulk was the same character as from Spider-Man. That's kind of cool.
I've known that. I've known that for years.
Well, he confirmed it, which is great. Yeah, okay. That sounds like what we'll talk about, and then we got a bunch of feedback, and we'll do that in just a minute. I'll be right back. Because, truly. Talk to the people, Jeff.
Oh, yeah, okay. Hey, just stretching it out here. What's up, guys? Peter Martins said that he just put the kid to bed. Is he late? No, he's not late. We got another episode to do. Welcome to it, man. Let's do this. Looks like Ash Coffin just joined. Welcome back. Welcome back. Waving at Dylan. Hi, Dylan O'Driscoll. It's so hard to keep up with all of the chats because I am not used to going through 4 chats at a time. Anyway, so this upcoming episode is really just about it's going to be a commission episode, and it's going to be about missed opportunities in the MCU. So if you guys have any great missed opportunities that you think that we also need to talk about outside of what we have loosely prepared, throw them out there, put them in the chat. What we've got everything from killing villains on the first time that you see them to just whiffs as far as characters. So throw them all out there. I want to see it.
Yeah, I want to see it too.
What do you think I was talking about, Matt?
Let's see. Characters. As far as characters, whiff it. I'm going to say you were talking about Apocalypse.
Nope. No, I was just giving him a little brief rundown of our upcoming episode, the commissioned one.
Oh, yeah.
Missed opportunities.
Oh, but I don't think I can do that one today, by the way.
Oh, well.
Sorry.
More time to prepare, everybody.
Yes,
you're welcome.
That is why I can't do that one today. I need a little more time to prepare for that one. And we've got a lot coming out with these 3 episodes, so I think we can wait for next week on that one.
Fine.
Yeah. It is
Everything that we
fine.
just recorded though was bingers.
I know, but this one's
Gotta
going to
get a
be
little MCU cast
at
out
least
there.
45 minutes, which is a little behind the scenes. I don't ever like to not put out at least 45 minutes of content a week for MCU cast. Like if we don't put out 45 minutes, I feel like we are underserving our Patreon patrons. So, but I think we have that. So, I think we got a lot of feedback, and we have a few little news things, nuggets to talk, and honestly, so much of what we just talked about was so Marvel related that we might drop one of those bingers episodes or both into the feed.
Okay. I see what you're saying.
Yeah, there's just a lot of Marvel stuff we're already doing, so I think we're okay. And seeing as there's not much Marvel content coming out, we're producing lots of Marvel.
Talk about old stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so we're about to go into our MCU cast episode. Are you ready for this, Jeffrey?
We're just doing news in quotes and feedback, right?
Yep, exactly. And I've got the 5-star review there, and I also have all of our new patrons for the month of March, and I just wanted to give them all a shout out for the month of March, which is something I hope we can start doing at the end of a month, giving all our new patrons a shout out.
Okay. All right. I think I'm as ready as I can be.
Cool. Yeah, let's do it.
Today.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. I mean,
Sorry, I was
take your
I was
time,
like
whatever
I was
you
about to
want
say
to.
I was about to say I'm recording, and then I was like, no wait, I'm still recording. Yeah, we're good to go.
Recording.
I've been recording for an hour, something like that. Okay, let's do this.
Hour and 20.
Woo!
Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are discussing your feedback and whatever news comes out of this freaking quarantine. Oh my God.
Oh man, I'm so lonely. All that right for this ad we have no control over.
I can't help you with that loneliness. Sorry.
That's not true. You are helping me with that.
I am helping.
loneliness,
I'm
Jeff.
helping right now.
You're right now in this very moment. I really appreciate it.
I'm glad we were able to share this moment with everyone.
Yeah, me too.
Da 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 da.
Hold on, you don't have to do it. Here we go.
Oh, I don't.
You couldn't resist. You couldn't resist. You joined in, even though you're on Skype, and it's not going to line up at all.
Yep. I was dancing too, but nobody could see me.
I know. I wanted to get video working today. Anyway, okay. Sorry. Here we go. Oh, I forgot that I can edit.
Truly's.
Forgot. No, I'm one truly deep, man. One truly deep. This is not on the cast. This is just for the live stream. I think I am drinking more in quarantine. Are you finding that to be true?
I know that my coworkers are.
I just yeah, that's right. You're not staying at home every day.
Not every day. I kind of have to now though, since they just put out a directive for the county that was a stay at home. They called it safer at home was the order. They're like if you're a non-essential person for your company, like if you're not part of the company, keeping afloat, basically, work from home or stay home. And if you're not going, grocery shopping or whatever, like, you can go to the pharmacist, you can go to the doctor, just, reduce your going out. And I'm like, well, all right.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, let's dive into our MCU cast episode. Actually, hold on. Give me 1 second.
Oh my God.
I forgot. I gotta change our
Change the logo.
Change the logo, and then I gotta change.
We're not spoiling Logan
We're
anymore.
not spoiling Logan anymore. You're right. MCU cast.
We're not responding to chat anymore. Yeah, we are.
Yeah, we will do that later. I do need to take the phone number off. You guys are getting a real peek behind the curtain. This mysterious podcast you've been listening to all these years.
It's a bit more than a peek. It feels like you just drawn the curtain back, like, whatever. Walk in if you want.
That's exactly how I feel. Walk in if you want. MCU Cast Live. Here we go. All right. Man, I love those drawings that Omer made for us. Omer O'Malia drew our faces that you're seeing right now. Those are also available on a t-shirt that looks kind of like that.
Looks a lot like that, actually.
Yeah.
There's daggers and guns.
There's full bodies, yeah, but that's what the t-shirt kind of looks like. All right. Okay, let's go. Go in. Oh yeah, you already did the thing.
I did.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name is Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Jeff Randall.
Jeff Randall, hit us with that 5-star review.
That 5-star review, sir, came from Gavin Fry.
By the way, I just got to say, this one was not on iTunes. This was one written directly to us, and he just said, I don't have iTunes, and I can't get it on Apple Podcasts or whatever, so I just wanted to let you know that I like you guys. So he sent us a 5-star review just to our email, and I like that. That was very sweet of him. Thank you, Gavin.
It says, I love this podcast, best MCU podcast out there, and I always love how you have the perfect balance of MCU talks and talking about what kind of peanut butter you like. I started that. Smiley face emoji.
Yay.
I absolutely love everything you guys do, and you make my quarantine survivable. Because if you weren't here, I would be gone insane long ago.
Nice. Well, thank you, Gavin. We really appreciate that review. You're the best. All right. And the other people
would have gone insane too.
Yeah. No, yeah. This podcast is honestly keeping me sane. This one and Bingers and Star Trek, like the Stranded Panda Network is keeping Matt sane right now. I honestly need this. I need this outlet for human contact and for, just discussing these things I love. Whew. It's been a rough time. I wanted to since it's the end of the month, and we've never done this before, and I want to start, especially as many as we got this month. I was really happy. A lot of people joined our Patreon this month, and so I just wanted to give you all a shout out. Dylan Diggs, Russell Brill, Charlie Ward, Matt Rich, and Andrew Youngblood are all our brand new patrons over on patreon.com/MCUcast, and I just wanted to say thank you guys so much. We mentioned it last week, but almost every one of our shows on our network, the Stranded Panda Network, have been affected by all of this COVID-19 stuff. A lot of us are independent contractors, and a lot of us work in the public and are being shut down to one degree or another. And so, if you've been considering being a patron, this is a great time to do it, because literally, normally this is like the money gets poured kind of back into the show and trying to advertise the show and try to find new listeners and try to make the show better. But this week, you're literally helping your stranded pandas eat. So if you want to get some bamboo to your pandas,
oh man,
then go over to patreon.com/MCUcast. And there's also one for Superhero Ethics and for DC On Screen, and those guys all would appreciate the support. Anybody that wants to support. And also for our patrons, we're doing a special thing this week. We've been doing an Altered Carbon podcast on Bingers Assemble, and we've been doing a Netflix party, which is a new thing, where basically we all get to watch the show live together. It's called the Netflix party. It's a Chrome extension that you can get, and basically we all watch Netflix and at the same time, and we get to chat during it, and that's been really fun. Been really, really fun things. But I will warn you, the Altered Carbon is a very adult show. So if you listen with children, or if you are a child, or if you are sensitive to sex and violence, maybe not the show for you. I didn't realize how adult it is, but it is very adult. So
yes.
Keep an eye on that.
And so that Netflix party is only for the patrons, right?
The Netflix party is, we are live streaming the episode that we're recording right after it. So
the Bingers episode. Yeah,
the Bingers Assemble, it gets streamed, and that's for everybody, but the Netflix party is only for the patrons. To thank them for their support, especially in this time. And honestly, we're trying to do the live stream. We're calling it a quarantine binge because everybody's quarantined, and we're trying to provide some extra content for you guys and provide kind of a community to watch a cool show. I think that's a neat thing to do at this time. Like, we can all sit and watch Netflix for the next 3 weeks or whatever while we're in quarantine, or 3 months, or however long this lasts. but it's really nice to be able to do it and have a community around it and have after show content and everybody be able to write in feedback, kind of go at the same speed and talk about it. And it's just like sort of a water cooler show that we're doing every day. So I just think that's a really neat concept, similar to what we do with the Netflix Marvel shows when we watch them. But this one is Altered Carbon on Netflix, and I really love it. And if the quarantine persists, we're going to probably do The Boys after this.
Oh man,
yeah,
that's a good one too.
That is a good one. That one doesn't have a Netflix. It's not on Netflix, so we can't Netflix party it. But we'll still maybe do a live stream or something.
Yeah, there are other good Netflix shows though. If you want to do more parties,
yeah, for sure.
I mean, there's a whole second season of Altered Carbon.
Oh no, we're that's the plan. The plan is to go all the way through.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
So we've got 18 total episodes of Altered Carbon to finish. I don't know if we'll finish in time because I think we're doing Monday, Wednesday, Friday this week. So it'll take us 3 weeks to get through season 1, and then maybe 2 or 3 weeks to get through season 2. So yeah, I'm loving Altered Carbon though. It is an amazing, well developed world. It's so good.
Okay, so we need to talk about MCU stuff.
Yeah, let's dive into our very paltry MCU news this week.
Yeah, our 2 news stories that really aren't even news. So there's a thing, right? Kevin Feige confirmed it. We already kind of talked about it briefly before the cast. Thank you to the people watching on our stream. The character in The Incredible Hulk that gave Banner his internet access and his password that Banner gave pizza to is the same character. It's played by Martin Starr. He's the same character as the character played by Martin Starr in Spider-Man Far From Home and Spider-Man Homecoming. It's basically the grown-up version of that character in Spider-Man.
I love it. I love that. I love that connection. Everybody knows I love my hot, deep, wet continuity. And it is all over this.
Altered Carbon reference?
Like I said, this podcast is not adult at all. The thing I like about jokes like that is if you're an adult, you get it, and if you're a child, if you don't get it, you don't get it. Is the point? You know what I mean? Like,
yep.
But see, now you're giving up the game by having us talk about it.
Oh, sorry.
Because now there's some 10-year-old who's now looking up what all that means. Good job, Jeff.
You know 10-year-olds are already looking up what that means way before they come listen to us.
That's probably true these days. So it's a dark future we're in. Okay. Yeah, that's great. I really love that Kevin Feige confirmed this. It's just nice. It's just nice to have those connections. I mean, it's like the thing when they confirmed that the little boy in Iron Man 3 was Tom Holland's Spider-Man, you know, like it's just fun.
I think you mean Iron Man 2.
Oh, is that 2? Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
You are absolutely correct.
At the
Expo.
The Stark Expo.
Yeah. You right. I wrong.
It's okay. I'm used to it by now. Jeez.
Dang.
Oh God.
Just burning
such
me
acid today.
Burning me over here.
The other major thing that we need to talk about is this debate.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of Iron Man 3.
Yeah. I love that there's no Marvel news, but still Marvel's lighting the internet on fire this week.
Yep. So everybody on Twitter and various other platforms, you know, because it has spread like wildfire. They're having the same old debate that we've been having for years. Which movie is the worst MCU movie? And the fire is between Iron Man 3 and Thor 2.
And there's a clear winner.
Yeah. Obviously there is. The one that drives the Infinity Saga forward.
Let's not say which one we think it is, because let's just agree that it's clearly there's one winner. No, I think. Do you really think that Thor? Do you think Thor: The Dark World is actually better than Iron Man 3?
I like it more. So yes.
I don't even get it. I don't even understand how you could feel that way. Like, we don't fight often, but we're about to fight. I don't know. We're about to fight.
I told you this is going to start a fight.
This is like, A news story designed to create a rift on this podcast.
We got clickbaited, Matt.
We did get clickbaited.
We got hosed, Tommy.
I bet this is a Russian bot. trying to bring down the MCU cast.
Yep. This is specifically designed to target us.
Yep. So clearly you like Thor: The Dark World better, but I am a big Iron Man 3 guy. I love Iron Man 3. I think it's not only not the worst in the MCU, but it's like up there for me. It's pretty high on my list of. I mean, I love so many of them, but I really love Iron Man 3. I just think it's a great outing in the Iron Man series, and it's just a fun movie. I know a lot of people hate the Mandarin turn, but is that your main beef with Iron Man 3? Give me your main beef. Is it the Mandarin turn?
Well, that's what it started out as, but
then you just jumped on the bandwagon and hated it for no reason.
No, the weird characterization of Tony Stark, in my opinion, is the bad part that I just cannot get over, because Tony Stark is not a person who would have PTSD. He's not a person who would have panic attacks and anxiety from going to space and having, a fight with aliens.
Man, I couldn't disagree with you more.
Well,
right
you
now
don't
because
read comics, Matt.
No, you're right, exactly. So both of your problems are the fact that it doesn't line up with the comic book version that you want it to line up with. That has nothing to do with how good that movie is.
Yeah,
you just revealed your cards
of the character.
Jeff. Revealed your cards.
Every other point of the character, every other facet of him and his life are straight out of the comic books and perfectly match up. And then you have this one thing that is just a huge change for him. That's not good. That's bad characterization. That's not growth. You're hurting the character. Have him grow in a different way. Tony Stark grows by making more stuff and hitting the bottle. That's always his thing.
That sounds great. Just build more suits. That's your answer? No. And that's what he does in this movie, by the way. Iron Man 3 is him building lots of suits. But the whole point is to give him flaws so that he can grow through them. I understand what you're saying, that you don't think he would respond and have PTSD, but I think it's exactly what you should do when you adapt a comic book to a movie. You have to make the characters more human so that they're believable on screen. And the Tony Stark that we see in Iron Man 1 and 2, who thinks he can handle everything, even up until he's about to die because he's letting his heart poison him, that is a guy who thinks he can handle everything that comes after him. And the beauty of Iron Man 3 is that in Avengers, he was finally faced with something that he was like, this is bigger than me, and maybe I'm not perfect. And that's what's so beautiful about it.
But he doesn't learn from it at all.
No.
Age of Ultron.
It's tragic. No, that's what's so beautiful, is it's a tragedy. He does learn from it, but he doesn't learn what he should learn, which is I'm not perfect. He tries to make himself better. He tries to build an AI to protect the world. He outpunches his weight class. Instead of being like, I need to start relying on others. Iron Man 3 is about him dealing with the immediate PTSD, but all the other movies continue that same course where he is constantly trying to panic and learn the lessons from the last movie, and it's making him mess up in the next movie. And that's what I love about it. In Ultron, he because he's so scared and he doesn't think he can do it himself. He used to say no one should control this Iron Man suit but me. I am Iron Man. And then in Age of Ultron, he's built tons of AI bots that are out there doing part of his job. He's still under control, but then he's like, well, I'm not good enough. He starts to realize he's not good enough, but instead of deciding to rely on a team like he did in Avengers, he decides to build himself a robot version, an AI to tackle... he decides to build an AI to tackle the problem because he still believes that his brain can get him out of this. And he builds an AI, and that AI becomes Ultron. And then after that, he decides still not to rely on a team, but he realizes, I'm not good enough. No one's good enough. I need to just cede my power to the government. And it's just this beautiful progression of Tony Stark's character, and I just think it's flawless. And I just think Iron Man 3 is a huge talk about moving the story forward. You talk about moving the Infinity Saga forward, but this moves Tony Stark's story forward and immediately interacts with the next movie, which is Ultron.
It moved him forward and then immediately jumped him back. He ended Iron Man 3 saying, I'm not building anymore. I'm done. He blew them all up, and that was it. He was done with it. But then in Ultron, he's right back to building. He completely ignored the growth from Iron Man 3.
I agree. And I think one of the flaws, and I don't think it's a flaw with Iron Man 3, one of the flaws in the Iron Man character is they don't address that immediately. They should have, for us fans, they absolutely should have addressed that in Ultron. Why is he back? They should have had a conversation. That conversation he has in Endgame, I believe it is. Is it Infinity War or Endgame? Where he has a conversation. It's Infinity War. He has a conversation with Pepper about how he thought he was done, but then Hydra and then Ultron and then and he just kept pulling him back in.
Civil War.
Oh, is it Civil War? Okay, sorry. Yeah. So he has that conversation with Pepper. That conversation should have been in Ultron because we needed to know why is he even Iron Man again, because they don't explain it at all.
Yep. And honestly, the easy thing to do would be to say addiction. Because he's an addictive person. He's got that addictive personality. He's addicted to the suit. And, they did try to put that on him, but they didn't do it. They didn't really characterize it in a good way in Iron Man 3. All it seemed like he was doing was just trying to build more to have an army of suits, instead of saying that he was addicted to trying to perfect it. He was addicted to this idea of perfecting the suit, which is what I would script Dr. Iron Man 3 to be.
Yeah. No, I think that's not a bad idea, but I honestly think that's there. I think that's exactly there. That's why it ends where it does. It ends with him blowing up his suits because he's giving up his addiction. Like, I don't think that's a rewrite. I think that's in the text. Like, I think it's he is choosing his suits over everything else in his life, and it even at one point almost hurts Pepper because he hasn't considered Pepper enough, and he's choosing the suits over her, and that's the whole point of that movie. And then when he blows up the suits, it's supposed to be this victory where he gave up his addiction. I think,
but then he picks it right back up.
I agree, but that's not a problem with Iron Man 3 though. That's a problem with Ultron, and that's a problem with planning, and that's a problem with, as much as we love Feige, and we can talk about how wonderful Feige is, and he did this great thing this week connecting these characters, they should have done a better job explaining why he was Iron Man in Age of Ultron.
I agree with that. So what's your reasoning for Thor: The Dark World being the worst?
I don't think it moves any character stories forward.
Okay.
That's the main thing. And I will say, I think it's wasted potential, and particularly Chris Eccleston being the villain and then never having anything to do. That really bothered me, which admittedly is partially just my love for Doctor Who, and particularly his Doctor Who. But it's the classic villain problem, and I do think, I always say I don't mind when they don't characterize the villains, but to me that's mostly in a first outing. In this movie, you already know who Thor is. You know who Loki is. And so they decided to build the story on Loki and Thor instead of making it about the Dark Elves, really. The story is about Loki and Thor kind of learning to work together, and then Loki dying, and then it's just a big battle. Like, that's the... And the problem is, if that's the movie, I want that to be the movie, but then he shows up in the last reel as Odin. And that, there's no character growth for Loki. It seemed the whole movie spends its time growing the character of Loki and growing Loki and Thor's relationship, and then it just craps on it at the end. And so everything that movie does to move the characters forward, sure, it introduces the Aether, but who cares? You could have that red stone be anywhere, as they proved with the
Vormir, the Soul Stone.
Vormir, yeah. Well, the Soul Stone, but also the Power Stone when they just have it. They didn't even have to collect it. They just have it at Infinity War, you know. And sure, it's explained, but like whatever. Like the collecting of the stones should not be the primary thing you're doing. Each of your movies, as we've talked about tons lately with Bingers Assemble, each of your movies should have something to do with the characters and what they're doing. And Thor is the same character at the end of that movie. He's just sad because he lost his brother. And everything he learned about his brother was bullshit. Right? Like that entire thing. So that's why character is why I don't like Thor the Dark World, because they chose to do another movie where they focused on the heroes instead of the villains, so the Dark Elves mean nothing. And then I feel kind of like Natalie Portman's a little horseshoed into the plot, which I felt in Thor 1. His love for her character never made much sense to me in Thor 1. That was my biggest problem with it. And then that continues. The death of Frida is probably the best part of that movie to me. It's very sad. What is it? Frigga. Sorry. Yeah, the death of Frigga is really sad, and that's a really nice character moment, but like it's not really the focus. He's more worried about his girlfriend, it feels like. I just feel like that movie doesn't do much for Thor's character. It doesn't do anything for Loki's character. Doesn't do anything for Natalie Portman's character, who I can't remember, Jane.
You'll need to remember her. She's going to be a big deal in Love and Thunder.
Yeah. So I just think that movie doesn't do anything for the characters, and that's what I care about.
It's unfortunate that it took them as long as it did. It took them until Endgame to really make the mom moment there pay off, and have him interact with his mom and really tear out your heart.
Agreed. And you said yourself, your biggest problem with Iron Man 3 is the fact that it doesn't characterize an addiction, but part of that is because you say that you're blaming it on the fact that he goes right back to the suits. Like that's a big part of it. But that happens in another movie. Like the movie itself is, as a snapshot, is a picture of addiction, and it ends well. This movie, inside of the movie, undercuts itself completely by having Loki show up in the end. Like the whole thing is about the brothers learning to trust each other and fight side by side when they need to, and that they actually do care about each other. And then he's like, "Nope, I'm the trickster god." Ha ha ha. Which is fine. That's
because he's the trickster god.
I know. That's his character. but like, if that's going to be his character, that needed to be a side moment, not the main moment of the movie. The only thing I think about positively in that movie is the scene between Loki and Thor when Loki saves Thor's life and sacrifices himself for Thor. That's a beautiful moment, and it is the motivation for the movie. It's like if in Avengers Coulson died and then they just bring him back.
Oh wait.
Okay, so
that's only exactly what happened.
So we're talking about this, and luckily, Katie Rose Button over on our MCU Cast chat group on Facebook. We have a group over there. It's MCU Cast Chat. If you search that, you should be able to find it. I'll try to post a link to it on our Facebook page for MCU Cast, which is facebook.com/MCUcast. But anyway, she posted on there this. Well, first, Ashley actually posted which of these two movies is worst: Thor: The Dark World, Iron Man 3, or Peanut Butter. I'm sure Peanut Butter ran away with it. And I Thor: The Dark World won, but then even more interestingly to me, Katie Rose Button then posted all of the MCU movies, which I applaud you. I applaud you, Katie Rose, because you actually typed all the movies out and added them as options, and that's pretty cool. So we actually got a ranking of what MCU film is the worst, and some of them didn't. A lot of them didn't get a vote at all, but we do have votes. We have one vote for Iron Man 2. We have 2 votes for Spider-Man Far From Home. Like these people, particularly Spider-Man Far From Home, I want to interview those 2 people. I want to know why they think that. Because these other ones I at least understand. I don't understand Far From Home being your bottom pitch. I should message those 2 people and ask them why.
In the comments, there was a little bit of a discussion on that specifically.
Oh, yeah?
In that Spider-Man in both of his movies, in Far From Home and Homecoming, in both of his movies, he was just caught in the middle of people hating Tony Stark, or people, dealing with Tony Stark fallout. He never got to deal with his own issues and his own villains and his own story, really. He's just kind of run off from Iron Man.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think that's obviously that's a marketing thing because they're tying Tony Stark to the story in a way that he's like inseparable from, the Spider-Man story because he's the most popular character. They wanted to make sure he's in there. But I wouldn't say that's a problem for me. Obviously, I don't feel that way, but I get where they're coming from. That Spider-Man hasn't had his own journey yet. I do think that, that to me, that's just how the world works. Like, people deal with the world their parents give them, which he's, in for all intents and purposes, is like superhero father.
Yeah.
People deal with the world their parents give them, and then they have to sort of build their own world, which the funny thing is, no matter what, excuse me, this next movie that comes out is going to be a response to all this other stuff that happened in the last movie. So forever, he's going to be dealing with these same issues, It's never going to be purely his bad guy, because probably he's going to be facing off with people because of the death of Mysterio, and Mysterio was directly tied to Tony Stark. So it's always going to be like, when he faces off with the Sinister Six, which I'm thinking is going to happen sooner than later, it's going to be because they're after him because of all these villains that are after him because of Tony Stark. It's a sins of the father story, which I don't mind.
Yeah, but it's a sins of the father twice kind of thing.
Yeah, that's true. How did Tony Stark relate to Vulture exactly? We know the damage control.
All of the stuff that Vulture had was Stark tech, and it was all because Vulture, or the Adrian Toomes company, was doing cleanup.
Yeah, I thought it was alien tech from the Chitauri, which was the Avengers were in that battle, but I didn't think it was all Stark tech.
Well, no, it was Stark tech and alien tech, but the main thing that made it a Tony problem is that the directive that pushed Toomes' company out of being the cleanup guys was damage control, and that was a Stark directive.
Was that in the movie, or is that in the comics?
At the beginning of the movie.
Okay, I thought that was a government thing. Like, I thought that was a SHIELD related thing.
That was a Stark funded program.
Okay, interesting.
To clean up after them.
Interesting. Okay, yeah, and obviously you do get a lot of Stark in that movie with Happy being all over that movie, but
Tony was also just there.
Yeah, no, I know. I just that is true. I just mean
this thing called a little living,
like in the final battle and everything. Like, you've still got Happy there in the plane and stuff, or loading the plane. I don't know. There's just a lot of Stark in that movie, but yeah, obviously yes, the actual Stark. Okay, so that's Ant-Man and the Wasp got 2 votes. I get that. This is again for worst MCU movie. I don't agree it's the worst, but I get where they're coming from. I think it's on the lower tier for me.
Yeah, I guess so. When all of these other movies are being, so grandiose and so big, so expansive, and just telling such great stories, to have Ant-Man and the Wasp come along and be so small and so personal and seemingly disconnected from everything else might be a little bit jarring.
Yeah.
And kind of put you off from it.
Yeah, and
I say that you should go and watch it again.
Yeah. I do think it's good. I don't think it's not as epic as a lot of the other things, which isn't its fault. I think they have to restart. They have to start making us care about new characters, and they're doing their best to do that. But they started so well with Iron Man and Cap, and Thor, and Loki. Yep. Incredible Hulk was a little bit of a misfire, as evidenced on this list, because I feel like our listeners are good gauges. They are connoisseurs of this stuff. So I'm interested in what they have to say more than I am the general internet, honestly. Iron Man 3 got 10 votes for Iron Man 3.
Yep.
Which, that's fine, whatever you guys, whatever. Incredible Hulk actually pulled out above Iron Man 3 in our listing with 17 votes for Iron Man 3. And I'm sorry, Jeff, but Thor: The Dark World got 49 votes.
Yeah. No, I know a lot of people don't like it. It's a very personal thing for me liking it more than Iron Man 3.
Totally understand.
But, you know, it's
you
a
love
personal
Thor.
thing.
You love Thor, and I get it. I don't fault you for that. I just think it's a worse movie. And I just love Iron Man 3. Everybody hates on Iron Man 3, and I just think it's so good. I just really love it's so stylistic and fun, and the music and I just think it's great. But I understand it's a departure, but that's kind of what I like about it. Anyway, that's our news.
Quote-unquote news.
All right, well, we got it. I think we got the episode. Matt and Jeff fight about Iron Man 3 and Thor 2.
Yeah, I mean, this is the the dress being blue and black or white and gold kind of thing.
Yeah, and it's just as soon as I saw that, I was like, oh yeah, me and Jeff are going to disagree on that one. And that I appreciate the good conversation, Jeff.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that Thor 2 is the worst. I am also not certain that Iron Man 3 is the worst. I'm glad that the other one came up with all of the movies in it, because then we got to have a discussion about that.
Yeah, I agree. I really appreciate that being dropped on the Facebook group. I just really love our Facebook group, honestly. It's like if when I'm busy, I don't get a chance to comment as much as I want, but that's what's so great is I feel like we built a community on this podcast of people that are similarly minded to us and are able to have conversations about things they disagree about and not really fight and just have fun, good clean fun. And I enjoy it a lot. It's been especially right now. I'm trapped. I'm more stranded of a panda than usual. So, stranded or panders?
No, you're a strandeder panda than usual.
Yeah, but strandederpandader.com.
That's not the website. Nobody go there. One of the things, though, that I feel like I need to say about Ant-Man and the Wasp, just to circle back on that,
sure,
is that with the villain, the antagonist, so to speak, I wouldn't even call it a villain. The antagonist in Ant-Man and the Wasp in Ghost and having not Morpheus, man.
Lawrence Fishburne, his character Bill Foster. Good Lord, having Bill Foster and Ghost working together to kind of try to fix her physical, condition, and having them not die. And not even have to have like a big knockdown, drag out fight between everybody in this huge throng, but just having them have that emotional discussion and tie and this emotional appeal to Hank to say like, please help me help her, and Hank's like, yes, I'll help you help her, but in a different way that doesn't kill my wife. And having that kind of resolution to that conflict is so much better than just a slugfest. I love it so much. Yeah, I agree. Totally agree.
I knew you would. I feel like it needed to be said.
Yeah, it's a great ending of that movie, and you're right. I hadn't really thought about how it doesn't have the big set piece action at the end. It is a much more touching moment at the end. Hey, can I ask you a question? We'll edit this out.
Okay.
You see this Avengers socially disassemble?
Yes.
Did we talk about that on the podcast?
No.
Yeah, somebody tweeted us and it said, I'm the one who made that meme that you guys talked about on the podcast. And I was like, did we? I don't remember talking about that. Anyway, I just wanted to ask you. That's why it was in here, just to remind me to ask you so I could respond. I didn't want it to be like, that wasn't us. And then you'd be like, Matt, that was definitely us.
We definitely had that discussion.
Yeah, I thought I had the feedback here. Anyway, okay, cool. Yeah, moving on.
I don't think we talked about that one.
Let's run down a few of these feedbacks.
All right. So now that we're done talking movie fight.
Movie fight.
Movie fight. James Hewing says, UK is now officially in lockdown. Thank God Disney Plus is released tomorrow. Is this all part of the mouse's plan? Obviously, yes.
Oh, yeah, for sure. This COVID was released by Disney to get us all to stay home and watch more Disney Plus.
You are creating a new "We Got This Covered" clickbait title.
Conspiracy theory, yeah.
With that sentence.
Yeah, man. It's for sure conspiracy theory. No, it is funny. And I get it. It's because we're all at home. So all the streaming services are ramping up their ads because they're like, well, you're all home. Watch our stuff instead of the other guy's stuff. But it's just so funny. I've seen so many Disney Plus ads in the last few days of quarantine. So much. So much.
It's true. It's true. And, honestly, we probably need to be watching Disney Plus so that we can show Disney that, we're here. We want Black Widow. Just put it on somewhere for us to get it. Please.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I want to see Black Widow for sure. And we might get it, but I kind of doubt it. I don't know. I just don't know.
I think it's too big for them to release on digital, like straight to digital.
Yeah. I do.
Just streaming,
unless they see a success with other things. Okay. What's our next feedback?
All right. Next thing, Skylar Roach said, Adams UCast, what if MODOK has something to do with Taskmaster, or Taskmaster is from the future and starts the intro for X-Men and Fox characters to be introduced to the MCU, like Cable introducing Cyclops or Hope Summers? Avengers versus X-Men lead up.
I both of those sound great to me. I don't know how MODOK, at least the MCU MODOK currently that we have, in at least he is kind of MODOK in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. There is a MODOK character, but I have a feeling they never actually call him that they call him by the acronym or whatever, but they don't call him MODOK. For that reason, I think they want to keep it open, but they do. I don't know how he would relate, and I think they're going to try to keep this movie, with the exception of introducing maybe a few new characters like Red Guardian and Iron Maiden, and possibly new Black Widow. I think they're going to try to keep this movie pretty contained. What do you think, Jeff?
I don't think that they're going to introduce any huge driving force, because this, in my opinion, I think from what I'm seeing, this movie is the Black Widow movie is supposed to simply tell us more about her character, where she came from, and how that past is constantly haunting her. I don't think that it's going to be a movie designed to bring in any huge overarching story or villain or any real giant themes or characters that, or even races that are going to be a big thing. I'm thinking that we're probably not even going to see any Skrulls in here.
Right. I think that I agree with you. I think they'll focus on the smaller story to give Black Widow the send-off she deserves, because she didn't even get a funeral, you know what I mean, in Endgame. I think they're going to really try to give her the sort of send-off she deserves. And by introducing too much else, I think that would be a mistake.
Oh, and the answer to the chat on Twitch is Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3 could have been... I mean, both of them could have been better.
Oh, yeah. So, she's a...
We were specifically talking about Iron Man 3, though.
So, that was you, Socratia. Is that you?
Yes. Yeah, that's me.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Did I just blow your mind?
No, I thought it was someone asking that question. They're saying I was asking them which one, because I was wondering, that's me that asked which one.
I know.
Because I was wondering which, yeah. Anyway, I was trying to wait to the end to do feedback from our chat because,
well, I figured that one could have been just a little Quick little blurb that we wouldn't even have to talk about, but then you made it a thing. How dare you?
Sorry, no, you did. I
yeah,
kept it off
totally.
cast. You did it.
Yep.
Okay, let's go on to the. So as I said earlier, we are gonna open it up for chat and phone calls at the end. If anybody wants to do has any feedback, feel free to send it in the chat. Just let us know, and we'll try to cover more things. But we're just running through our feedback on here first because we have found that if we try to do the live stream and the regular podcast at the same time, it gets really jumbled and hard to follow. And so we try to keep the podcast sort of clear.
And we have these weird, awkward pauses where we're reading
or we're going back and forth with people. And we're just going to do that at the end today.
Yeah. Next up, Brian Keegan said, "Hey guys, so I decided to turn this quarantine into a Marvel rewatch party.
Nice.
I have a very important question. In Captain America: The First Avenger, Bucky dies by falling out of the train. At the same moment, they capture Zola. So when did Zola have time to capture Bucky and experiment on him, turning him into the Winter Soldier?"
Well, it said in the Winter Soldier, the movie, they say that the experimentation he did on him in the camps when he was in the POW camps is what allowed him to survive the fall. So I think that's when the experimentation started, was when he was in the POW camp and Cap saved his life. But I think that after that, Hydra got a hold of him, and then through them, Zola got to work on him more. But the main answer there is during his POW days is where he first got experimented on by Zola.
Good call. Robert Vogel said, "Watching Spider-Man Homecoming tonight, and I think I solved the mystery of where the shield old Cap gave away came from. When Happy is going over the list of everything going on the plane that's leaving Avengers Tower, one of the things he says is the prototype for Cap's new shield. So the original shield was there all along, and Cap was running with a new one. It sounds pretty plausible, and a lot more plausible than he went back in time and stole it from here or there, and another one magically appeared."
But Robert, then we don't get to see Old Man Cap. But Robert, don't burst my balloon with your logic. I want to see Old Man Cap. Don't take it from me. I think this is actually a really good call. And if you think about it, that movie happens. Spider-Man Homecoming, it happens at the same time as this movie does in the timeline. So it's very possible that especially if I guess they didn't successfully take down that plane. But if any of the contents of that plane did slip out, it would be very easy for Taskmaster to get a hold of it. Although, now that I'm thinking about it, doesn't he have the shield on the bridge, which we think is at the beginning of the movie? Or we know she has the red hair, so we think that's prior to her leaving that area?
Yeah, well, the scene on the bridge looks a lot like... or at least we're led to believe it's in the past.
Yeah, it's hard to know. But anyway,
when she was leaving the Red Room.
That is a great point as to where there might be a second shield. Like once they're introduced to Wakanda, and Tony would want to improve on the design of his father and improve the design of the shield. So that's very possible.
Yep. I think it's so great though that at the end, in Endgame, at the end of the whole thing, when Tony shows up, he gives Cap the shield. It's, his dad gave him the shield, and then he gives Cap the shield, and he's just like, don't make it weird. Don't talk about it. Just take this.
Yep.
I don't have one for everybody.
I didn't bring it up for the class. Yep. I love that. Such a great... Oh, man. Endgame is so freaking good.
Yeah, it was. There have been people that tried to tell me that Endgame was not a great movie because for some reason or other they were like it relies so heavily on so many other things and it isn't a great standalone movie. I'm like, it's not supposed to be. It's literally the culmination of all of it. And they're like, yeah, but it doesn't, blah, blah, blah. Like, they have some weird reasoning that I can't seem to follow because it's breaking my brain to even consider that Endgame was in any way less than the best ever.
Yeah. It really, yeah. It was made for us though. That's the thing. So anyone that doesn't like it, it's not that they're wrong. It just wasn't made for them. It was made for us, the people that just love the MCU and know every part of it. You know?
Yeah, you're not wrong. It's just not your movie.
Yeah.
Stop watching my movie. Go away.
No. Keep watching it because that's how they afford to make it.
Right. Okay.
Enjoy it as much as you enjoy it, but you don't have to say it's the best movie ever. But in my mind, it pretty much is.
That's fair. Reina Caraveo said to us, "Hi guys, I have a random question that popped into my head the other day. In Guardians 1, Star-Lord tells Gamora he had his Walkman on him when he left Earth. And at the end of the film, Nova Prime says your mother was from Earth. So Peter Quill clearly knows he's from Earth. So why in Infinity War, in one of the best scenes ever, after Doctor Strange asks Quill, what master does he serve? And he says, what am I supposed to say, Jesus? And Tony says, you're from Earth. And Quill responds, I'm not from Earth, I'm from Missouri. I'm just curious."
Well, Earth and at the end of the film. Yeah, no, I think fully, I think it was just for the joke. But my headcanon here is that it was a joke that like his granddad would say or something like that. You know what I mean? Like I could totally see someone being like, I'm not from America, I'm from Texas. You know what I mean? Like it totally seems like a granddad kind of joke. And he had that granddad that was a big part of his life in his early life. That's my headcanon for that, is that like that's a joke he used to know. But honestly, the way I'm just reading the message again, I was like, oh yeah, I guess that does kind of sound like he didn't actually know he was from Earth. But I think I'm gonna have to believe it was a joke.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know though. In Guardians 2, at the beginning of it, when he was talking to the gold people, God, I can't even remember the name. It's Collective.
I don't know.
I don't remember. The gold people. They stole the Harbulary batteries. That's a Drax joke. Anyway, he was talking to them and said that he was from Missouri, and he didn't specify Earth.
That's funny. Maybe he does. Maybe he doesn't. And maybe when she says that, he pretends to know what she's talking about, because that also fits his character.
I don't know. Maybe he forgot. He is kind of airheaded.
No, just like your mother was from Earth, and he's like, yeah, Earth, right, Earth.
Totally.
Like he just like pretends to know what they're talking about because he is used to navigating such situations where he doesn't know what people are talking about. Yeah,
that's fair. He did have such an incredulous face, or not incredulous, like an offended face when Stark says you're from Earth. He had that like, how dare you say that about me? I'm from Missouri.
Yeah, which to me that sounds like a grandpa joke. But
it could be.
Yeah, I don't know.
It was right in the middle of the whole like, why is Gamora thing.
Yeah, that doesn't. I mean, you know how some jokes are. Like you ask people how they're doing, and they're like, living the dream. It's just like one of those things you say. You know what I'm saying?
I think everybody is always serious when they're doing that. Are you trying to tell me that everyone is not living the dream right now?
Well, it's not even that they're not living the dream. It's like they'd say that they've said it so many times, they just always say it. And so maybe someone's just used to saying maybe it's something he's just used to saying. Anyway, that's my best headcanon, but the truth is, like, if that's like what they said, if he meant all those things, yeah, it's just a little bit of a inconsistency there for sure.
Yeah, sorry. Matt's headcanon can't fix this one.
I think my headcanon did okay.
It did all right, but I'm not convinced.
The masked headcanon Avenger did all right with this one.
You're not wearing a mask.
How do you know?
I need to talk to you about the cameras in your house.
Oh. Well, I've got cameras in my house right now, and you can see my mask if you want to. Would you like to? Would you like to see my mask, Jeff?
Please put your mask away.
I'm gonna turn on my camera.
Don't do it.
I'm gonna do it.
Anyway, Stephanie Beslin said, "Who else has been coaching friends and family through a Marvel movie marathon right now? I just had a third person text me a pic of a watch order and ask me if it was right, to which I promptly responded with my own list. So let's talk about it, because I can't remember if we have before. What is the proper watch order chronologically? like, this is my list I send people because I personally believe it's the best, even though I've yet to see this exact order on any graphic that's going around. Please excuse my inconsistency with the sequel subtitling. This is just how I refer to them.
Yeah, I think you're wrong, Stephanie.
Okay.
No, her watch order is in chronological in the events of the movie order, which I have seen done before. And there's a thing that goes around the internet on how to watch them in order by watching every scene in order. So like you start with the very first scene from Thor 2, and then you jump to Thor 1, I think, the beginning of that movie. And then, by the way, have you looked at the camera? Because I turned on my camera for you so you could see my mask.
No, I didn't.
Oh, you're really missing out.
Okay.
I hope the live stream's enjoying my mask.
Oh. Oh, good.
I got a panda cat costume. Okay. Anyway. So yeah, no, I think that the best way to watch them is in their release order, personally. But a fun way to watch them is exactly how Stephanie is talking about, with Captain America, then Captain Marvel, then Iron Man, then Hulk, then Iron Man 2. Like, it's kind of fun to do them that way. I totally get it, but I think that like for instance, Captain Marvel just doesn't mean the same thing when you don't know who Nick Fury is, you know?
Yeah,
so I personally would watch them in release order if I'm giving people actual advice on how to watch them. But
I haven't really given advice on what order to watch the movies. What I've given is what are the super important ones, like what are the most important ones to watch leading up to Endgame.
Yeah. Agreed.
Public safety message.
What?
Sorry, my phone was going banana sandwich because it was like same, when you used to get, or when you get Amber Alerts and your phone just lights up with like a huge emergency warning message. It was that, except it was like, stay home if you're 65 or over, wash your hands, social distancing. I'm like, I know. Yeah. Jesus.
Well, I guess it's good for people who don't.
How can you not know?
I mean, yeah, I feel like if you have a cell phone, you probably know.
Or a pulse. What was I saying? Right. I was trying to figure out the most important ones to watch, and it's really difficult to be like, to leave out any of them.
Yeah.
It's like, you going by like importance is obviously you need the ones where the Infinity Stones are, if you're leading into Infinity War and Endgame. But then you've got to deal with like, is Thor 2 really important because it's got an Infinity Stone? Probably not.
Yeah, I would say no.
But I personally still like it.
I would say like the character stuff is more important. Just to know who the characters are and where they are. Where the Aether came from, I don't think actually matters in the like, the long run of like watching those saga movies.
Yeah.
But as for order, I would say release order. Right? Do you agree with that?
Release order.
Yeah, I would go release order. But it's fun. It's fun to do them the other way. And like I said, that thing that's online somewhere where you can like literally watch every minute of the movie in order. That's pretty crazy.
The super, what is it? Not super script.
Super cut.
It's like a super cut, just kind of thrown together and chopped up in the right way.
But especially that if you're like you don't care about these movies, they're so insane to watch them that way. It's just not a good way to do it.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to these last few feedbacks and see if we have a few minutes for the chat here.
Alrighty. We had Kyle Ray say, hey guys, just got through a rewatch of Endgame. During the funeral scene, it's a research of Endgame. During the funeral scene for Tony, the camera pans over all of the characters, ultimately landing on Fury. Because we discovered that Fury has been impersonated by a Skrull in Far From Home, we know that the Fury we see at the funeral isn't really Fury. Therefore, the director of S.H.I.E.L.D. never truly got to pay respects or say goodbye to his friend and first recruit. For about 5 minutes when I realized this, it was a dark time in my home. LOL, just kidding, but still a bum realization.
Do we know that? I don't think we know that. I think it's possible that is not him. We just know at the end of Far From Home, he's out in space. Is that right? I'm not wrong on that, right? Yeah, Far From Home, we know he's out in space, but that's a little while later, and it's very possible. Like, we don't know how hard it is to get back to Earth from wherever he is. It's very possible he came home just for the funeral, or it's possible that he left in between those two moments. Right?
Yeah. I mean, it could very easily be that he left Earth like in response to that, to start building, because Stark was the one that was always building to face the threats that no one else can face on Earth, right?
Right.
So maybe he left the planet to go and start building off-world things to try to be a more forward shield.
Yeah, for sure.
So I'm playing with magnets.
You're
I need to
playing
get
with
this
magnet?
away from me.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm playing with my panda costume. If you want to see my panda costume, go subscribe to us on YouTube or youtube.com and just search for Stranded Panda, or go to the Twitch channel, twitch.tv/StrandedPandaTV. Stranded Panda TV is our username, and I'm going to wear this panda costume while I live stream music. It's fun. I did it yesterday. Having fun out here.
So next up, Lori Gill said, I've been watching all the Avenger movies again, and all I can think of now is how I bet they get a lot of chiropractic sessions. How the hell they survive getting kicked around by Thanos and not having broken bones and cracked skulls and backs.
Yep, that is fair. Lori is correct.
They're super people. So
some of them are super people.
Yeah, well, Hawkeye doesn't really get kicked around much, if you look at it. And Widow doesn't, well, Widow kind of gets kicked
around a whole lot. Yeah.
Yeah, she's used to it. It's fine.
Yeah.
She's tough. She'll bounce back.
Lori's right. It's a chiropractor. There's an in-house chiropractor at Stark Tower, Avengers Tower.
I mean, there has to be.
Yeah,
for
sure.
Think about this, Matt. Think back, harken back, if you will, to the street fight in The Winter Soldier. You remember when Cap gets knocked off of the bridge and into the bus, such that he crashes into the bus from like a 40-foot high freeway overpass?
Yeah, I do remember that.
Somehow survives?
Yeah. But he's Cap. Cap's the one that's really believable, and then Stark is wearing the suit that's protecting him most of the time when he gets kicked through things. But and of course Hulk has his own thing going on. But everybody else, yeah, they'd be having problems.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm just trying to think, like, all the moments that didn't make any damn sense. Like, anytime Thor gets kicked around, it's whatever. It's Thor. He's a god.
Yeah.
The Hulk, same way. But, like, Tony Stark, when, he hits the ground in his suit.
Yeah, I've got to assume the suit has some sort of inertial dampeners or whatever. Like Star Trek, like whatever technology he has to create. That's the thing. He's Iron Man, so I'm going to give him that he's Iron Man. You know what I mean?
His guts don't have inertial dampening, though.
No, that's what inertial dampeners do, man. In Star Trek, they just keep all that inertia from causing problems.
Totally.
I'm just saying I'm okay with that. It's his superpower to be Iron Man and be able to do that stuff, so I'm willing to give him that much.
Yeah, we'll give him the benefit of the doubt there.
It's when stuff happens that he's not in the suit. That's when you're like, yep, you're like a 50-year-old man. You'd be really hurt right now.
I like that in the X movies, the Quicksilver character there, like, puts his hand on the back of their head and is like, I'm protecting you from whiplash.
Yeah, I love that. Which,
I love
honestly,
that he does that, but your guts are still not going to be designed to take that.
No, for sure. And how fast he moves as well. Like, you're not talking about whiplash. You're talking about ripping their head off. Like you would you'd still like rip their spine out of their bodies to go that fast as Quicksilver does. But it's a fun little moment when he says, "I gotta protect your neck."
Yep, whiplash. Let's see. Nathaniel Muzzy said, "Onward is great, especially if you play D&D."
Cool. Have you seen it yet?
I have not. I need to.
I keep meaning to just to support the MCU possibly coming to streaming, but I have not seen Onward yet. But it looks good. Looks good.
I've been told that Pratt's character is me, like through and through me. Like they probably took me, like maybe studied me for a while, and then put that into a character.
That's funny. That's funny. Hey, can you hold on a second?
Sure.
Sorry, be right back. Hello. Sorry about that.
It's fine, I guess.
What does Frank Hogan have to say?
Well, Frank Hogan said, "Hey guys, I wanted to chime in on a few things from Infinity War. Would Vision technically be immune to the erasing since he isn't a biological organism? Because if he gets erased, then half the robots or toasters in the universe should be affected as well."
What do you think?
It doesn't matter. He was already dead.
Yes, I think that is true, but I don't know. Yeah, it's a moot question because he's dead, and I think that's part of the thing there. But like, I don't know. It just depends on how the snap works. Does it work that all life, or all life that consumes? Because it seems like it's based on consumption, right? So he's still consuming power, if nothing else. I mean, maybe. I guess maybe he's just maybe he's solar powered. I don't know. What do you think?
I mean, he's supposed to be solar powered, and like in the comics, it was a solar gem that they replaced with the Mind Stone. But I think the question could be there if we assume, or if we want to do the thought experiment on like, what if Shuri had actually gotten the Mind Stone out of Vision and he was able to join the fight? Would he have gone away with the Mind Stone being taken and Thanos snapping? I think that he still would have been eligible because the process that created him, like he's this quote unquote synthezoid, right? But the process that created him is supposed to be creating organic matter and then had vibranium infused into it. And that was in Age of Ultron. They specifically said that. So I think that he would have been an organic being. I don't know that he necessarily consumes, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, the answer to this is we have no idea, but it's like it really just is a fun thought, I guess.
Yeah,
fun thought experiment, as you said.
He does say in Civil War that he's never eaten anything before.
Oh, that's funny.
Because he was trying to cook chicken paprikash for Wanda.
Duh. So cute.
Because he's so sweet.
Two. So cute, those two.
Oh man, I'm really looking forward to WandaVision. It's really unfortunate that it got delayed.
Me too. Me too. 100%. Okay. Well, that's all our feedback. Let's talk about any this chat. I pulled a couple of the chat things into our feedback doc here. So let's if you're in the chat and you want to drop something you want us to talk about right now in this very moment, live with you guys on the cast, do that. And also, I'm making the phone number visible. So if you are watching the cast and you want to call in, be on the show, you can do that, or we can just talk about these different things. Stephen Bennett says, why are you guys skipping Deadpool on Bingers Assemble? We answered this on the Bingers Assemble episode as well. Someone else had asked the same thing. Basically, I totally get it. He says it's killing his OCD. I totally get it. Basically, the original reason we were skipping it is because we didn't have time to cover it. We had the idea for Bingers Assemble and got it developed in time to get through the main course of movies. But since Deadpool is technically in the universe but doesn't really have any strong connections, and because we're going to want to cover it when Deadpool 3 comes out, that's kind of our reasoning. But the main reasoning was we just didn't have time.
And honestly, Deadpool, like the Deadpool movies, are not part of the overall plot of the X-Men franchise, so to speak. They're not part of the main thrust of story. Yeah,
I think that's true. So that all of those reasons, that's why we decided to skip it. But the main thrust was we had to get done in a certain amount of time, and to get it done before New Mutants came out, and now New Mutants is no longer coming out. So depending on what happens over the next few weeks with the quarantine and with New Mutants, we may or may not get a chance to cover Deadpool before New Mutants comes out, in which case we will have all those watched.
All those available.
But we'll probably try to do it as its own sort of Deadpool watch, just because it's so different and so not involved in the main storyline.
Yeah, I think that's something that we can talk about off cast, or off stream or whatever, just to maybe put a different intro into it, to say that it's in the run up to Deadpool. No wait, New Mutants. No wait, Deadpool, or whatever. Whenever the release comes out.
Yeah.
Anyway. So Sick With It 87 said, I don't think Iron Man 3 was bad, just pissed a lot of people off with the whole Mandarin thing. And I'm one of them.
Yes. Yeah. I think I am exactly with Stick With It 87 on this one. I think that people just didn't like that they did something different, and that gave them the reason to hate, and then once they hated it, they were all over trying to think of other reasons, and I just don't think there's that many reasons to hate on that movie. I think it's a really good movie.
I think that it didn't need to happen around Christmas. It would have been a perfect July 4th movie.
It doesn't. The reason I would say it needed to happen around Christmas is because those snow scenes of him dragging the suit are so awesome. They're so beautiful.
He could have been dragging it through mud.
Yeah, but that's my point. It's beautiful. It's art. I think that's art. I think it's really good art. What they do with him and Iron Man 3. Just love it.
Fireworks. He promised fireworks. You don't do fireworks on Christmas. You do fireworks on the 4th of July. Iron Patriot rebranding. Iron Patriot and the red, white, and blue color scheme is the perfect July 4th thing. Damn it.
Yeah, I hear you. There's some things you'd like different, but I
think I'll cover that. I think we'll talk about that on Script Doctors whenever we get that off the ground.
Yeah.
Sick With It 87 also said, I think Black Widow being on Disney Plus is inevitable, much like Thanos, if the virus gets worse, which appears to be going that way in the States. But I think they're trying to avoid it because they know doing something like that will be the end of going to the movies. Streaming movies from home, or just streaming period, is where the entertainment industry is going, but are trying to avoid for some reason.
Yeah, it's like anything else. It's entrenched interests that have been doing it one way for so long that they finally They don't want to change because they're scared it'll mess up their money. And the truth is, it probably will, because if people can watch it at home, it's not the event that it is in the theater. They haven't yet cracked how to make it an event at your house. So
yeah, and there's an experience that goes along with that. The whole going to the movie and getting to sit in the comfy seats that recline, or and the huge screen and the crazy good audio, like that stuff doesn't exist at home for most people. It is an experience to be had, and there's something to be said for that. You're selling that experience. I don't know that it necessarily has to have the price tag that it has now, but that's beside the point.
Yeah, I agree. And I do like, obviously, a movie like Endgame. Are we at peak movie? This is a good question. Endgame, me and you say, is probably one of the best movies of all time, partially because of what it's built on. But will we ever see a movie like that again? Because if we do start moving towards streaming and the money dries up a little bit, then we're going to be in a situation where, like, will they have the money to make something that epic ever again? And I don't know. Yeah,
that's a tough question. I think that the main thing that would have to help that is reeling the stories in and bringing them to be smaller and more personal. I don't think that if they go streaming now, like if they go full streaming service, we would not get another Endgame style movie for a while, for a long time,
if ever, because the only way that movie is funded, at least currently, unless they figure out a way to fund it, and that they're trying. I'm sure there's everyone in. This is, necessity is the mother of invention. This is the time where they might actually try to solve that problem.
We have a necessity now.
Yeah.
Assemble.
Necessitators assemble. What? Okay. Well, guys, that is facilitators assemble. All right. Well, that is our podcast for today. I think I think there's no more chats and no one's calling in, so we're gonna call it. Thank you for joining us today. We're the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. Hit us up at mcucast.com. Add mcucast on all the Facebooks and Twitters and Instas and things. So yeah, check us out. We'll talk to you soon. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
Sweet. All right. Good job, Jeff. Well, that was, 2 hours of casting?
2.5.
3 hours. Yeah. 3 hours of, we've been on live stream for 3 hours. Whew. Okay. But that was 3 episodes, so that's not too bad.
Yeah.
All right.
Should I stop recording now? Or do we need to do that ad?
Well, we need to do that ad. So I guess we're going to let the live stream go, though. Thank you guys for joining us for the live stream. We have to record an ad read for this week, so we're going to do that. But there's no reason to keep you guys on for the ad read, right? You guys don't want to hear an ad read extra time. But thank you so much for joining us. And if you're watching this wherever, we're going to be live streaming to twitch.tv/strandedpandatv and to youtube.com. Search for Stranded Panda, and we're on those places. And we'll try to keep doing it to Facebook too. I don't know how my regular, because the only way I can do it is to my personal, so it's kind of weird, right?
I mean, it's a little weird.
It's a little weird, but whatever. People are watching. People are enjoying it. I don't really care. All right, guys. We'll peace out. Live stream, folks.